Okay, I'm here. Kind of. Ish. BotRix has correctly joined the channel. I'm gonna be real with you, I don't even know what the hell BotRix is. I don't remember that. Pretty sure I set that up at some point. You recently released a video about Dark Souls Remastered. Can I download the graphics mod right now? You can. It's on Nexus Mods. It's called Dark Souls Remastered. If you search that on Nexus Mods, it'll pop right up. Where to find tutorial? Tutorial on presumably playing Bloodborne on PC. I can't help with getting a copy of Bloodborne, so that you'll have to figure out on your own. But setting up the actual emulator, I do think I made a video about that. Pretty easy. You actually just just search Shad PS4 GitHub, and then their GitHub page pops up, and you can download the program. But yeah, I think most people are asking about where do I get the actual games, and well, I can't really help that. What's up, Mr. Pregnant? Link to the mod under that video. Yeah, all my videos have, even this video has a link to it. Yeah, you'll see all the mod links below this video actually too, or stream or whatever. Do you use any mods in Bloodborne besides your own? No, I've actually been really lucky that I haven't had to. I haven't had to do the vertex explosion fix. I haven't had to use that. No, I mean, just other than reshade, but like, I've configured it, but yeah, like those shaders aren't mine. Is there a big difference between version of Shad you use and the newest release? No, honestly, I've had good luck with the main build, that you can that's the main one you can download. That one's pretty good with Bloodborne. I am using a specific fork, which is called the Diego Licks. It's a weird thing to say. It's called BB fork, but realistically, I haven't noticed a huge difference. Like, I think I could just use the main build, but I will say the BB fork does have some extra features. So this is the BB fork one I'm using currently. It does have a couple things that are kind of nice, but you can also just search that. You can literally just type in Diego Licks. Oh, you already have it. Well, then there you go. Yeah, this one does have a couple things I like the update option's really easy because it's just a button right here. I really like that. Beyond that, it has the experimental tab, which is probably the nicest part. This is really the reason I'm still using it. Now, like, there is shader skips, but I turn that off, and with Bloodborne, I haven't found that to be an issue. But being able to enable the dev kit mode easily is nice. I don't have to go into the config file. That's nice. And then it's just nice to be able to configure these without having to go into a text file. So, like, I think that's probably a while I'll keep using it, for now. For a while, it was actually giving me more issues than the main build, but now it's, as whoever watched that one stream where I crashed out, this should be better, I think. Is there any way I can see the minimum/required specs? Ah, that's a good question. We don't even know, to be honest. Like, I don't know. I think you just changed your readback setting. Oh my god, good call. Good call. I forgot that it does actually. Oh, you're so right. It went to unsafe. Oh shit. Yeah, disable. I forgot that it is responsive, and it was picking up on that. Good call. Good shout out. I recently played Dark Souls 3 on Xbox. I'm building a powerful PC, and your amazing mod makes me want to replay it on PC. Thank you. Although I think for DS3, I've kind of half-assed those mods because I didn't end up finishing them, and like the visual overhaul I think looks pretty good, but realistically I'm waiting for DS3 lighting engine to be like ready, and I think our current estimates that I've heard is later this year. I'm in no rush for that. That's fine. I have Bloodborne stuff to do, DS1, DS2. But for DS3, I know that lighting engine is going to be the way I want to do it, because doing that with DS2 has been just an absolute game changer for me, and it's so much easier to work with than how I'm modding Bloodborne. Like, if there was a Bloodborne lighting engine, oh my god, I would love it, because the way that I have to do it is not It's not nearly as fun as modding with Lighting Engine. But what other question did I see? 60 FPS mod got nuked. Yeah, I mean, that happened earlier this year, right? And it was really weird because it was like delegated to a different company called MarkScan that did a DMCA request, and the mod is still everywhere. Like, that's the funny thing. Like, you literally just pull up Shad PS4, go to patches, and then the 60 FPS patch is literally like all right here. So, like, it's still everywhere. So it was a dumb DMCA. It didn't make any sense. And also, they didn't DMCA a ton of things they could have. Like, obviously, they could have done that for my mod. My mod is useless on its own. Like, my mod does literally nothing on its own. You need to have the Bloodborne ROM, and I don't talk about that. You know, I don't talk about piracy. I don't talk about that for obvious reasons. And I just tell people, go dump your copy, which is legal, and then the emulation is legal. And modding is in a bit of a gray area where technically we're modifying Sony's files here. Like, Sony owns these files. Whether we like it or not, they do. And if they wanted to, they could say, oh, I don't like that you're modifying our files and putting them back out. And I go, oh, yeah. I mean, I can't argue with that. They're right. But Sony's hasn't done that, so, you know, we'll see. Like, Bloodborne Cart was the other one, where some people thought that was, like, unfair, but realistically, like, they own the name Bloodborne. Like, they own that. They own that word, right? Well, I guess not in that sense, but they own the IP. So, like, if you're going to call it Bloodborne and it is a game and it is using things from Bloodborne, well, that's fairly obviously they own that. And I don't think that's really up for debate, right? So, I don't know. I didn't think that was actually, like, the craziest thing. I would have preferred they didn't, but, like, you know, it's their IP. I mean, it, you know, like, they own it. I don't know. Like, I'm sure a lot of people would want me to say, fuck Sony, but I'm like, no, I mean, I get that. Like, look, I think we have to be realistic about stuff, but they've been really cool with emulators, and by cool, I mean not saying anything about them, really, as far as I've been aware. So, I don't know. I think there's a little bit of doom and gloom, and some of it is very understandable, but I think some where they're like, they're gonna take down everything. They're gonna rip the emulator from the internet. And I'm like, well, I mean, they haven't at all. They haven't done anything about it, because it's legal. And if they wanted to make a case, they could, but, like, they're wrong. But, yeah, I don't know. Let's just all chill, you know? Let's just all hang out. Also, how's everyone doing? I'm really not good at asking that, but... what's the other question? Are you going to finish Bloodborne, or are you hopping back and forth? Oh, I'll hop back and forth. That's pretty much been my method from the start, is to hop back and forth. That's how I keep my mind fresh, frankly. Let's see if it's been pretty stable lately. Oh, by the way, chat, I didn't actually tweet about this, or tell anyone, really. I released a new version of this Bloodborne mod yesterday, but I just didn't tell anyone. For some reason. I don't know. I didn't feel like it. But I did update it on Nexus Mods. And on my Patreon. You know. So I did post a new version, and what that includes is a lot of G-Param changes to indirect lighting quality. I figured out a better way of doing that, which I'll probably go through on this stream, because it's pretty cool. I think it's interesting to me, and maybe to other people. Other than that, in the G-Params, you can actually, and I knew this because I disabled it, but on the dynamic shadows, you can actually apply a level of blurring to those shadows. And I had disabled that probably last year, or way earlier this year when I was still working on it. And I did that because I was like, oh, I want them to be sharp. But realistically, it made them look pretty, I don't know, they stood out a lot. So I blurred, I set it to a blur amount of 2. And now I think the shadows look a little bit more realistic, and not as, like, sharp. The lighting looks good, thank you. Yes, I've been really happy with it, because now I also found a ton of baked lighting that I had mistakenly not removed from outdoors. So there's actually more that's been removed. A lot of it was actually on these objects. These objects were artificially darkened in my mod for a long time, and that's because I just didn't realize that they also had baked lighting applied to them. Which was interesting to me, because normally they, at least in previous titles, they hadn't done that. Because the reason why you wouldn't apply, like, baked lighting to something is generally because it's destroyable. So you kind of want it to react with the environment. But it seems like what they were doing is they would do it based upon the object and where it was, I guess? I don't know. They had a very specific way. And anyway, I stripped that. It was listed in the packing list for all the textures, but yeah, I honestly think it looks great. I'm not like 100% happy with it, but realistically, have I ever been 100% happy with my mods? No. So, and I was thinking about it last night, it is kind of, it's a little stressful, but like in the sense of like, I'm still living the dream, and like, I don't have anything to actually complain about. So like, let's preface it with that. This is a non-issue for humanity, but it is a specific issue in my case, where when you're working on something as special as Bloodborne, it is tough, because like, I don't want to shit on the original look of the game. And so that's why I pointed out on Twitter, and I should probably point out on streams more often, that where the mod is right now is before I've done any sort of pass of like authenticity, if that makes sense. I do want to do that, because I've basically been jamming out on my own and like kind of just doing stuff and like, oh, that looks cool. And I haven't made like major modifications, so I don't think anyone playing my mod is going to be like, well, this doesn't look like Bloodborne. But I do want to make sure I'm like respecting the original artists, right? I don't know. I do think about that. I don't want to just change shit because I want to change shit. So I don't know. I was thinking about like, so yesterday I was seeing a video of, let me see if I can pull it up. Let me see if I can pull it up. It was a really cool video of Godot, which I thought was Godot, like an idiot. But that's just how I saw it. I want to get into indie game development. I've always basically planned on doing that. I used to make games way back in the day with Game Maker, but that was like 20 years ago, which is crazy to say that it's been 20 years, but it more or less has. Let me show you this. Do I have any tab open that I don't want to have open? That's always my stress of like streaming, is I'm like, did I leave Pornhub open? Which I don't even think people would like be shocked, you know? I don't like show porn on stream. Don't worry about it. It's fine. Oh yeah, I forgot. Twitter fucking has the most dog shit ass video quality. It's terrible. This is a game that's made in the Godot game engine, which is a smaller game engine that's been around for a while, and it's been rapidly progressing, and you can do some really awesome things in it. Also, you can 4K downloader. So this is a Godot game, and it looks fucking awesome. It's based on, it's very close to that weird AI generated bullshit ass thing that someone showed off like 3 months ago. It was like, check what this thing made. It looks like pixel art, but it's cool and it's open world or whatever the fuck. And then this guy was like, no, what if I do that for real? And what if I do that with an actual artistry and an actual game engine, and I don't just generate it like a fucking idiot? So yeah, I was like, fuck yeah, that sounds lit. And then I was trying to see, there was a reply on here. Yeah, so this guy. Okay, so before I show this is... We can't hear you? What? Why can't you hear me? Oh. Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, sorry. Oops, my bad. What's playing audio? God damn it. Oh, is Bloodborne that loud? No. Oh, I'm sorry about that. Oh. Well, it's weird. I paused the video and it still was like saying that my desktop audio was loud as fuck. Oh, okay. No, that's weird though. When I lift it, it says my desktop audio is still making a ton of noise. Okay. What the Well, okay. Let me close Discord. Let me put my headphones on. Is that just Bloodborne making all that noise? Okay. I didn't have my headphones in. I'm an idiot. Oh, sound effects were on 10. I'm sorry, guys. Sorry. That was a test I was doing a long time ago, and I forgot that I did that. Okay, we're back. Desktop audio is low. Okay. Yeah, let's just turn the audio off. You don't need the audio for this. So this dude has only been messing around with Godot for 5 to 6 hours. And he made this. And that's kind of crazy. Now this guy obviously has other experience, but like only messing with Godot for 5 to 6 hours, and he's already started messing with like enemy AI, and I'm just like, what the fuck? I had played around with Godot like months ago, and I was able to like kind of mess around with the scene, and it was really cool. I don't know. So I think Godot is probably going to be the engine I'll pick. You could obviously pick Unreal. Unity is the most popular for indie game development, but I don't know. I like the underdog, you know, and the community is really cool. So I don't know. I think I'll go for that. Yeah, my desktop audio. Okay, I gotta crank up the sounds a little bit. Let's see how that. More than a decade ago? That sounds about right. It's been around for a long time. It's at least within the last like 4 years I've become aware of it. I didn't really know about it, and then there's been a lot of people showing clips, and they obviously have released games plenty. But I think what a lot of people didn't expect is that it would be so good at 3D rendering. It's honestly advancing incredibly quickly, and the actual like company behind it. Well, it's a large community of, and I think it's actually like open source, right? I could be wrong on that. But yeah, it's really cool. Also, I turned off the baked lighting for these little coffins, and it made them look like shit. So, yeah, don't like that. It makes them stand out awkwardly. Kind of. Like they are, you can tell here on the corner. Oh, my cursor doesn't show up. You can see that the sunlight is hitting it, but it still seems awkwardly like, I don't know. It's not shadowing correctly. I think that's the interesting thing. It's receiving the light up here, and yet the shadow from the dynamic shadow, it's awkwardly like standing out. So, this is Bloodborne on PC. It is, and I can prove it. Here's my reshade preset that I kind of messed around with it again, but I didn't change much. I was also playing. Oh, you scared the fuck out of me, dude. That's crazy. The thing I was playing around was the SSRT shader that like tries to add RT reflections, but that's not going to work. There's just so many other things that would go into that. So I was just kind of goofing. Basically, I need to. I have another character that's like level 56 or whatever, and I was in the DLC and doing some stuff and end game. But I'm on a newer-ish character because the problem with modding Bloodborne is that there are different versions of some areas. Ooh, you can see a little mesh thing that just happened there. That still happens occasionally, but it's very small. So it seems almost like a small vertex explosion of some. Yeah, you can see there was a little bit happening, but it's pretty rare. The flickering up on the buildings I have still not Figured that out. That has something to do with the dynamic shadows. It's not backface culling, interestingly enough. It's not that. It's like Z fighting, but it almost makes me think that they have like an overlapping mesh portion. That's like, it's like a doubled up mesh that's like overlapping or something. And it's only on certain meshes. That's how I know it's not a dynamic shadow issue just purely by the dynamic shadows, because they work fine on 99% of meshes. So there's clearly something with a handful of meshes that are either authored in a weird way. The problem is I can't edit them in Blender yet. So, you know, like there's a certain part I'm just not able to do yet. You can make some modifications to the meshes through Fiverr Editor. That program does allow you to delete something from a mesh, but it only allows you to delete the mesh indicators that FromSoft set up. So if I were to delete that portion that is having an issue, I would also be deleting a part of the mesh I don't want to delete. So far that is just not an option. Does it still need third-party mods to work properly? No, I mean, I haven't. I mean, it depends on your definition of, like, work properly, but you can play the whole game without mods at this point. Like, the vertex thing has not been a super big issue for me anymore. Memory hasn't been an issue. Performance, now that, you know, that's going to depend on the person. If you were to play this game in an unmodded fashion, so not including my mod, you should be able to get 60 FPS, I think, on a good number of rigs. With my mod, it does cost performance. It absolutely does. And I don't find the 60 FPS to be stable enough at this point for me to do it. Also, check out the dynamic shadows here. I say this in every stream, but it's so true, and it's just my favorite thing about the mod, is that because we're doing everything dynamically now, your character can walk through here, and you actually see the light hit your character and the shadows. So the shadows actually, from the fencing, hits your character as they naturally would. And that wasn't possible before. Because none of these objects were actually casting a real shadow. It was just a pasted on texture, which is called baked lighting, which is fantastic. Don't get me wrong, baked lighting's fantastic. We love it. But a big part of this mod is the fact that now your character blends into the environment 100%. And that is an intentional choice by me, because I also went into the G-params, and there's something known as the player mask, essentially, where... And if you've heard this before, just mute the stream for like a solid 2 minutes. Basically, the player masking, what it did is... So let's say this was baked lighting. Let's just assume this wasn't static, right? Or wasn't dynamic. Basically, in the lit regions here, the game would go, oh, okay, so now you're lit. You're all lit. And then when you would walk into a shadowed region, it would basically darken your whole character, because it didn't have the shadow information to know where on your character is shadowed or not. It basically just had on or off. And they were really clever with like interpolating between them, so it's a gradual shift. It wasn't like boom off, boom on. But that's what it was doing. Yeah, it fades you out. It was like, let's fade the character a little bit to make it look like they're in a shadowed region, because, well, you had to do that. The lighting was not real. I mean, none of this is real, but it was a texture that was on the ground, so there was no shadow actually being cast. And now that the whole world is casting shadows, you get this wonderful sort of shadows dancing on your character. And of course, they dance on they go sicko mode on the enemies as well, and bosses, because those are included in the shadows too. So that's my favorite part. I just love that our character is now like fully blended into the environment, because I made all of the environment dynamic. And fun fact, Central Yarnum, if you add up all of the baked lighting, all the textures for Central Yarnum, because we have to remember there's like 4 different versions of Central Yarnum. There's the first one, then there's the other version after Papa G, then there's a version after Vicar Amelia, and then there's another version after you kill Rom. So you have 4 distinct baked lighting setups that you have to have because the sun direction is different for at least, I think, 3 of them, or maybe 2 of them. And obviously the lighting conditions are different. So the baked lighting you have to have a completely separate set of that. And so if you add up Central Yarnum's baked lighting, it was basically 1 gigabyte in size. And then when those textures are loaded, you are actually loading that into VRAM. So the cool thing with removing baked lighting is technically you are lowering the amount of VRAM that is used. It's not insane and it's not massive, but it is something. And it's also why big open world games don't do baked lighting. Because they can't. I can't remember what game it was recently that they were talking about why they didn't do baked lighting for like performance reasons or whatever. Well, they were like, oh, well, it would be like 100 gigabytes. So we can't do that. Like, we literally cannot do that. It would take up way too much hard drive space. And so that's why Elden Ring can be 50 gigabytes for that entire game. Also because they don't do like super high resolution textures. That saves them a lot of space. They're just not that interested in high res textures. Like their texture resolution has not gone up since I mean Bloodborne, really? I mean even DS2 to be honest. Like Sekiro had mostly 1K textures. They were just used pretty intelligently though. So that's kind of the difference. Have you considered becoming a game developer? I have. Technically, I already made some games, but that was like 20 years ago with Game Maker. And now Game Maker is like way more powerful. So I do plan to get back into that. Talking about baked lighting and getting lit. We also smoke weed every day. Oh, I need to order some edibles now that I'm thinking about it. But look at all these dynamic shadows. So a lot of these shadows were not in the unmodded game at all. A lot of the baked lighting did not include trees or grass. Well, obviously it didn't include grass because the grass moves. So you can't have a baked shadow for that because that's going to look fucking weird. I almost finished this game. Only Lawrence left. Yeah, I mean, Lawrence is incredibly difficult in the best situation. Leave it to chat to remind you to add something to the grocery list. That's true. Also, check this out. There is a weird lighting difference that's happening here. If you notice between these 2 textures, and what that makes me think is this is still baked, I think. I think I forgot a texture. So let's do the fun thing that everyone likes, and we're gonna load up DS Map Studio. Also, I need to drink water. I talk a lot and then I don't fucking drink water, so shocker. Fucking shocker. Also, thank you everyone who's here after my crash out stream, and then I canceled a stream, and then I think I canceled another stream. So yeah, this is the fun thing. Everyone loves this. Maybe. I mean, I love it. Let's load up Central Yarnum. And we're just going to fly to that goddamn spot. And, actually, let me see. Can I load textures? I turned it off for one of my other mods. But let me go to the settings. I might be able to enable textures in the map editor, which would probably be a lot cooler looking. Let's see if that works. If it crashes it, I turn it back off. Oh, so it was crashing it on Bloodborne. Fuck. God damn it. Basically, it sees a certain texture that is a higher resolution version because I upscaled it or made a new one in Photoshop or whatever, and it goes, what the fuck is that? And I go, well, don't worry about it. It's fine. Yeah, what was I clicking on? Yes, DS Map Studio. Let me turn texturing off. That There's something to do with how DS Map Studio handles specifically Bloodborne texture files. Um, and as far as I know, DS Map Studio is not under current development. And then most of it seemed to move to Smithbox. That was another thing. And then that stopped too, but then now I think it's back on. It's a whole thing. Although I'm fine with where it's at. Oh, it automatically disabled texturing. Oh, that's interesting. Huh. Alright. That was smart. I didn't expect it to actually fix its own issue. Okay. Nifty. Yeah, let's load up Central Yarnum, which you can tell was pretty quick. And then this is what Central Yarnum looks like with just the actual meshes. And then these orbs here, sorry, I'm jerking the camera around. These orbs are actually point lights, and most of them are ones I've placed. And they were not in the game originally. Like, for instance, all of these little lights here, I placed point lights for every one of them. Because before they basically had the particle effect, but they didn't really have any illumination coming off of them. So I just manually added point lights to pretty much every single one. And do you want to know what's specifically crazy about that? And I've spent a lot of time doing it. You'll notice that there's actually 4 different versions, or no, is it just 3? I think it should be 3, unless I did do 4. Maybe it is 4. I don't know what I'm talking about. Who knows? Anyway, you need to. So basically, when you load up the standard Central Yarnum here, the 24010000, that is the first version of Central Yarnum, and then it's the one that controls the point lights. But you have to place point lights for the other versions of Central Yarnum. So you can't just place one. That's only going to work on that one version of Central Yarnum. So that's annoying. And it's like, fuck. So I basically had to duplicate, place there, and then move this around to capture all of them. It took a lot of time. So I placed a lot of point lights. Now this spotlight was pre-existing. This was a spotlight that doesn't really make a lot of sense, like at all. This is the one that powers the light you see on the side here. And it's not the right color. It doesn't match the sky, basically ever. But that's fine. And so I didn't change it. Because I was like, it's whatever. Like, it doesn't make any sense, realistically, but Bloodborne's world doesn't have to make sense. And yes, I would agree that Yarnum does deserve it. Central Yarnum is right up there, or probably better for me than Undead Burg. But just know that I rank Undead Burg in DS1 as like 10 out of 10 level design. And this actually is basically takes the slot of Undead Burg in terms of Bloodborne, right? Because Undead Burg was your first area after Firelink. And this is the first area after... well, technically this is your first area. But you go back to the Hunter's Dream pretty quickly, and then this is your first real area. So Undead Burg felt like the first real area. I mean, you had the tutorial, you had Undead Asylum, but... So it's not perfect, but... and then this is the one where Miyazaki seems to have said that, like, he designed the layout of Central Yarnum himself. I don't think we'll ever know, like, 100% if that's true or not, but he did say that. Or someone said that he said that. So, who fucking knows? But I would like to believe it. So here we are in Central Yarnum. I get lost a lot when I'm flying around here, because it doesn't look like it does in the game, obviously. Everything is like a fucking rainbow-ass 80s acid trip, you know? And then the thing you'll notice also is that it has loaded all of the LOD map pieces. Will there be a version that does remove the lights? Oh, you mean like remove that spotlight that doesn't make any sense? I mean, there could be, but I just don't know that that's interesting. I don't know. Like, that's one where they very specifically set up that spotlight, and it's very prominent, and you see it as soon as you, like, walk out of the clinic, right? So, like, I don't know. That, to me, I'm like, eh. You know, there's another light, too, that, and because this is actually a bigger issue. There's actually a lot of spotlights here that they placed that don't actually make a lot of sense. Like this one here. We can go to this in game, but like this, I'm actually really close to here because this is the spot I was looking to find. But when you head over here, in this gate that you unlock, you'll see that there's a spotlight up here, and then there's one right here that hits this well, and it's like really blue, and it doesn't match anything. What's up, big dog? It doesn't make sense, but I think that in our last 10 years in the game industry, I think a lot of game developers have found, or have mistakenly been so focused on lighting realism that they forgot that making lighting unrealistic is actually really cool and can be awesome. And you don't have to make sure every light is perfect and makes sense in a realistic properties. Like, I think we moved too far where we were trying to make everything seem physically based, and it's like, no, what if we made things physically not based? What if we made it very not? I don't know. I'm kind of interested in that. I've been seeing a lot of indie games where they just go fucking buck wild and they don't even give a shit. And I love that. And I think that's awesome. So, I don't know. I did add a shitload. Look at this room. This is the room that you cut off, like, the corpses and they fall to the ground. And then here's the, like, fucking rats are down here. All these lines are point lights I added. This is insanity. I literally, because you have to make this room for four different versions, but realistically it's like 3 different versions because a couple of them are pretty similar. Love your work, man. Thank you. That's very nice. Also, you have a check mark, and I don't know what that means. What does the check mark mean? Let me see. Oh my god, you have 663,000 subscribers. Holy dumb fuck. What's up? What's good? Yeah, I think we have forgotten that like lighting can be not realistic, and that's actually cool when it's intentional. Like, also here's oh my god, I haven't had enough coffee today. Oh my god, what's her name? I'm not looking at chat. This is one of those brain fart moments where it's something that I absolutely know, but it just is, it's eluding me. Oh, that's gonna kill me. I'm not looking at chat. Oh, this is just one of those things that, like, you so know it, but it's just not there. Okay. Good deal. No one said it. Oh my god. Oh, that's gonna bug the fuck out of me. Anyway, let's go back in the game for a second. Because people are gonna be like, what the fuck is he looking at for like 2 hours? So no, you'll see that there's a point light here that adds like this blue light. That's obviously not based on anything, but that's okay. Oh, dude, the name is right there. Like, it's right on the tip of my tongue, and I don't know why I can't remember it. Oh, maybe we should just go see her, and that'll jog my memory. Let's kill these guys real quick. Yeah, they draw your attention, and it's not meant to be like, aha, it's from the sun, and I catch myself doing that too often, where I'm like, oh, let me make sure this light comes from this, and it's going to be perfectly lined up with that. And I think that's benefited me, but it's also been something that, like, I need to make sure I'm not, like for me, adding a point light to these lamps was just a natural thing, right? I was like, yeah, okay, I'm not changing any artistic intent. They have a light, and now they will basically give off illumination. And I think that's cool. Like, I think that's one case where I think it's actually like okay. But some people could disagree, and that's fair. Fucking dogs, man. Yeah, FromSoft does that a lot, where they will just use a blue point light on anything. DS3 has so many of them, and I do think in my DS3 mod I reduced the number of those. Here's the thing I need to fix. You can see that there's a very direct line where it cuts off, and you can also tell the texture UV mapping because these are very clearly different surfaces, different meshes. So you can see that the bricks do not actually align perfectly, but it's close enough, right? By the way, why do you think Sony removed the FPS mod for Bloodborne? Yeah, I mean, it's a good question, because it didn't make a lot of sense, right? And I was showing chat earlier. What's really weird about that is that they did a DMCA request on it, and they did it through like a secondary company called MarkScan or something. So they like outsourced it, and it almost felt like it was an automated thing of like, we saw that this had Bloodborne in the name, so we took it down. Because it didn't seem like they knew what the fuck they were talking about. And the really weird thing is that all they did is have him take the, Lance McDonald, the GOAT, by the way. He's awesome. And he streams, by the way. He streams, and it's really cool. But they made him take the links off like his Patreon or whatever the fuck. And he was like, yeah, all right, fine. But you can still get the FPS patch is everywhere. You can literally just go in here and Chad PS4, and that patch is everywhere. Because once you have something on the internet, you can't really make it disappear. So maybe they were trying to send a message, but I don't really think so. To me, it seemed like just a weird one-off kind of, because they didn't really do anything else after that, which doesn't make a lot of sense, because at the time we were like, oh, maybe they'll come for my mod or this other Bloodborne mod, and they haven't. So maybe they don't know what Nexus Mods is. I don't know. I would find that really weird if they don't even know what Nexus Mods is as a website, because they didn't take down anything. Okay, so here's a good example. This spotlight here that's blue, the only thing I changed with it is I made it shadow casting. So you do get to see your player's shadow. But as you'll notice, the shadow is not really a good quality shadow. It makes the character look too thin. And that's because Bloodborne has really, really terrible point light and spotlight shadows. They are handled differently than the sun shadows that we're seeing here, which also, this looks fucking awesome, right? I mean, all credit to the original artists in Bloodborne and From Software, and like, I don't want anyone to ever think, I'm never that guy that's going to be like, look at my mod work, it's so amazing and awesome. I hate that. It's also because I was born in the Midwest of the United States, and it's actually illegal to be egotistical. I don't know if you knew that. It's in our DNA. Well, not for some of us. Some of us are dipshits, but, you know. Let's go back to that one area I need to fix real quick. Also, you'll notice the tree is floating. Don't worry about it. It's also partially floating a little bit more because of the parallax I enabled on the floor, but also because it was floating. But we don't care about that. We don't look at that. FromSoft has a lot of floating things in their environment. Because you can see here, even with the parallax enabled, this tree actually hits the ground pretty close. And this other one, nah. Actually, can I fix that? Let's see, can I fix that? Because obviously we can see that this tree was meant to be lower, right? That's not, like, you can see the roots are actually like standing up when obviously they're meant to be in the ground, right? Let's see if I can fix that. Because I haven't noticed that till now. Which is why FromSoft didn't fix it or notice it, which is totally understandable. Let's see if I can change that. Because I think the tree is on its own map piece. So I think I can actually alter that. Here's the thing where I lose track of where I'm at. Yeah, the tree's its own. Fuck yeah, look at this. Okay. Now, before I do this, this is going to work just fine, but we have to keep in mind that let me show you what is unseen in this world, which ties into Bloodborne very well, right? Grant us eyes. And I'm now going to grant you guys eyes to see the unseen collision world that is low quality. They're low quality meshes that keep your character from falling through the world. They keep your character from going through buildings. They are the meshes that tell the game this is a solid surface and the player should not be able to go through this. Like, that's what they're made for. And so here are the collisions. And they're blue in DS Map Studio, but they cover things like the well and the stairs. And you'll see that they're not perfect. You'll see that the collision actually does not line up with the geometry perfectly. And the reason they do that is for performance, right? Because they don't want to re-render that geometry, even though it's hidden. They're still handling this geometry. So it's a very simplified form of it, which makes total sense. And you'll notice the books are not included in it because they don't need to be. You just walk over them, it's fine. They could have if they wanted to, but they didn't. So the tree has its own collision. And this collision is actually wide enough that by me moving the tree downward, it shouldn't affect anything. But that's why you can't willy-nilly just move anything everywhere, anywhere you want. Because if you don't have a collision for it, your character is going to fucking walk through it. So let's turn the collisions off. Yoink. And then that stays on. Okay, but let's fix the floating tree real quick. And there you go. Now, here's the funny thing, though. Check this out. So let's save that. We're going to unload that. And you'll notice there are two other map variants of Central Yarnum, which handles the two other versions that are technically in the game, although they have 4 different atmosphere configurations. It's a whole thing. But if we don't change these, the different versions will not have this tree also moved. So that's the difficult thing about modding Bloodborne, specifically in these map edits, is you have to do it 3 times for Central Yarnum. You have to do it twice for Upper Cathedral Ward. You have to do everything twice for Cathedral Ward. You have to do everything twice for Old Yarnum. You have to do everything twice for Yahar Ghul. You have to do everything twice for Forbidden Woods. You have to do everything twice for Bergenworth. And that piles up. So, yeah, let's move that down. Boom. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. And then we're going to bring this up, which is another version. And yoink. And I actually think it's kind of cool that they're going to be slightly different for the different versions. Like, if there was a keen eye, they would be like, oh, that point light isn't perfectly in the spot of the point light when you're in the other version. There actually are variations in them because I placed them. A human placed all of this on top of the humans that placed everything else, right? Which I think is actually kind of beautiful, right? I don't know. I think it's really cool that, like, it's imperfect. Because of course it is. Okay. Let's go into my mod, because basically I made those map changes. I now need to apply that to the game itself, because that doesn't happen by default. So basically, in DS Map Studio, your project folder, which I named it PC Remaster Mod, and this is where the stuff that you're modifying gets saved. And they save it in the same folders that you will find in Bloodborne's actual files, naturally. So here we made a map change, so it'll be in the map folder. And we made a change to just the map itself. We didn't change any lights. We didn't move any point lights. We did none of that. All we did was move one mesh. So let's go into Map Studio. That's where the MSB files are saved, and that's what controls what's rendered, what's not, you know, what's the placement of things. And basically, we could just copy the actual 2401 MSB files. I am lazy. So what I do is I just have this folder stay open, and I hit map, copy, and then I drop that bitch in the main folder. And I say, you overwrite, you do what you want. Boom. Done. Oh, actually, hold on. Crap. Oh, I had the game still running. Oops. It doesn't like that, understandably. It goes, hey, bitch, the game is running. Off topic. Any news with the DS1 expanded zones, like the village? Yeah, that distant neighborhood, distant burg. No. But it would be cool in the future to do something related to that. I think that's going to be for the extra DS1 mod down the road, where I can just do whatever the fuck I want. Because I am limited with like these remaster projects. I am limited by myself, admittedly, of not wanting to change the artistic intent. So I'm actually pretty excited to have a mod that I can do whatever the fuck I want and not care about that, because it's just an optional bullshit whatever thing. That's not the intent of that mod. So I don't know. That I think will be really fucking awesome. I'm actually really looking forward to that, where I can just go buck wild and put whatever the fuck I want. Like, there was one change I made in my DS1 Remastered at one point, which I backed off of, rightfully so. Was the I made the trees from Ash Lake display in their correct location when you look out from the balcony in Undead Burg, where Solaire is standing, because that's in DS1. It's a giant puzzle piece, and most all of the maps actually do interlock, not perfectly. They have transitions that handle the peculiarities, but generally they do match, and when you load them, they actually load into their correct like world origin spot. Also, I fixed the goddamn tree. Check that shit out. I'm gonna post that on Twitter. Here I'm actually opening up the image so I can get a good comparison image of an after. Oh, well, the dead body disappeared, so that's kind of stupid, but, you know, what are you gonna do? It's not gonna be perfect. Like, I don't have the same angle anymore, but, like, I think it works. Okay, save that. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Also, how's everyone in the chat doing? How is your Monday going? Before stream, I was doing the coolest thing that anyone can do. Oh, okay. So, my chat just updated. It had been stuck on an earlier message. I just thought nobody was like chatting, which is totally understandable. Let me read the chat, because it totally just caught up. Clap, hell yeah. Where is the game running to? Okay. Floaty junk in Yarnum. Yes, there's a lot of it. DS1 has the most floating junk of all. Did you manage to get the BB Fork branch? I did. And does it run better? Honestly, as far as running better, no, not really. As far as like performance, I just like the experimental menu, and I like the update option being like a really simple button, and I don't know. So there's parts of it I really like, and that is what I'm using. It's raining heavy here, but I'm playing Silent Hill F. Fuck yeah, that's probably the perfect game to play in that situation, right? I've heard really good things about that game. I'm happy that a new team was able to make a Silent Hill game and it be pretty awesome. Oh, actually, you know, something interesting happened. These two surfaces are now blending correctly. So that's weird. Chat. Oh no. You can still kind of notice it. Oh, I think we've even found a mesh seam. It's so not noticeable though. But if I pan the camera, you can technically see that there's a slight mesh hole. Oh, there it is. Do you guys see that? There you go. You can see the light coming through. Is that an emulator problem? No. This would likely be because I forgot to strip out a very small section of baked lighting. I think that's what we're seeing here. And it's this enclosure. I'm going to go look for that. But I'm pretty sure I just didn't strip out that baked lighting, so it looks different because there's a different... Basically, this whole room here is one mesh. And then the next mesh starts right here. And you can actually notice that the bricks do not align, right? So the UV mapping between the two different surfaces, they weren't able to align it perfectly, but that's totally fine because honestly, it looks fine. Like, it's not an issue to me. Like, but let's go fix the difference in these. I got sidetracked with like my own shit, so. Yeah, let's load up Central Yarn. That's what I was fixing. So basically, I need to find what is that map piece. Also, my throat hurts. I've been talking too much today. Because before the stream, I was walking with my mom for a couple hours. We usually walk weekly just to catch up and shit, you know? Which I know is like a super cool based thing to do, but I don't know. I enjoy talking to her. She's cool. She's alright, I guess, you know? She just raised me and shit. But no, she's pretty cool. 2,900. So basically, I go outside. Okay. First of all, you're totally right. It's very true. I do not go outside very often. I'm very much in my modding cave. I'm such a hermit. But yeah, I do occasionally go outside. Which is also partially why I enjoy it. Because I don't go outside a lot. I need to get sunlight. I need to walk and not be an unhealthy piece of shit, but you know. So anyway, you can see I've selected the mesh. Now another thing you'll notice is basically any map piece that is labeled with a 5, like 50,000, basically anything in that range. Bloodborne uses that for fake meshes, essentially. They are meshes that are a low quality variant that will be done away with when they want the real one. So what I have highlighted here is one of those fake meshes. And if you delete it, you see the real ones underneath, which are higher quality and obviously have all the ornamentation and mesh detail. These distant ones are just used when you're far away from them. They switch to that. And I've had a mod where I deleted all of these. I deleted the fake ones. And technically, if I wanted to, I could just say, what if all of this was rendered at once? It's not a great idea. It would rely on a good LOD system, of which Bloodborne does not have, really. So we're not going to do that. But I could if I wanted. I have the power. But basically, they get in the way of like the real meshes that you want to see. So sometimes what you can do is go in here, you go to map pieces, and you can go find the one that's currently highlighted, which is highlighted in blue, and you can basically hide it so that you won't be selecting it, right? So yeah, as you can tell, this mesh inside here that we were looking at, well, there's actually 2 of them. So, and this is how they generally do it. These little bricks that are on the ground, that's actually a separate mesh that is applied on top of the ground mesh. And they did that as ground clutter, right? Because they wanted it to look more geometric, so they actually included geometric bricks on top of the brick flat surface. And so my parallax does not perfectly blend with that, but it's decent enough that I don't think people would shit a brick over it, you know. But you can see the interior, that little enclosure is... Oh, so the enclosure is 9655. But I don't think that's the one we actually want. Ooh, there's another fake mesh that's here. Let's get rid of that. Well, not get rid of it, we're hiding it. So the real ground mesh I want here is 2900. As you can see, what's happening is here's the line of demarcation, if you will. Yeah, sorry for the intense music. Bloodborne does that in the background, and it's actually kind of fucking annoying. If I could turn that off, fuck you, Bloodborne, for a second. Sorry. It's one of the most annoying things about modding Bloodborne, is the fact that that always plays when I log out of my character. Ugh. If I could turn that off, I fucking would. And I'm sure there's a way. Because it's so annoying. But it's one of those use cases that they never thought of, because why would they? There's no fucking reason that they should ever do anything with that. That's just my problem. And I'm insane, so it's fine. But you can see the two meshes here. You have 2900, and then you have this other one right here, which is 4100. So it's basically the difference between those two. There's a difference between baked lighting, which I've removed most of it. But I have missed some, because I'll show you why I've missed some. So here's how I remove them. And I think I've shown this on stream. There's multiple ways, to be honest. But the easiest way I found, which was after much trial and error, I might add. So here's the first way that I was like, here's how I can get rid of baked lighting. Basically, I was like, okay, cool. Tell me the mesh number. So it's 4100. And I was like, okay, let me then basically go into the texture file. Wait, how did that come back? There is something happening here with, oh, I'm in the wrong one. Yeah, I was sending some files to Andy Cortez. I was sending him some mod files. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. Okay, I was looking at old versions of the files. I was sending him updated mod files. Yes, in here. So actually, here's a good example. So this right here. Oh, actually, it did change. What the fuck? Somehow it put back the original one. Huh. That's weird. I actually don't know why it did that. I don't know. But we'll do it again, I guess. I don't know. So here's the old file. Remember when I was talking about the 1 gigabyte of baked lighting? It is stored in this file right here. You can see it's 1.09 blah 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 blah. And there's 1 gigabyte's worth. And basically we unpack that file with Witchy B&D, which is an amazing program. And you go in here. And here you can see all of the baked lighting textures. But here's the nice part. They actually sort them by the name of the mesh itself. Kind of. Because Windows search fucking sucks ass. And it can't seem to understand that I want 4100. And it goes, well, I don't know what that is. Yeah, it's the fucking number right here, Windows. It's not that hard. You can look within them. But it says, fuck that. I can't do that. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. But basically, I would surf here, and you would find 4100. Which actually, it turns out it doesn't have a 4100. Look at that. Who would have known? But anyway, I would have deleted that, and then it's a whole thing. The quicker route is to literally just go into the text file, and this file tells Witchy B&D what to include in the new version of the file. So basically, if I want to remove a specific baked lighting set, I can literally just go in here and search for 2900. And now you'll see it actually picked up on the wrong number. So we need to add 00 in front of it. And you'll see I forgot to remove this baked lighting, which is for the 2900 mesh that we're looking at right here. Then you can see the number up here. So basically you go in here. Also, you might be wondering, how did I figure this out? I just fucked around a lot. I just absolutely beat my head against a fucking wall doing this. And I really enjoy that. Like, it frustrates me, but I also enjoy it. So I figured out that you can basically just go in here and delete them. You basically tell Witchy B and D, hey, don't include those. Don't fuck with that. And all you do is you save it, and you go back to your little folder, and then you tell Witchy B and D to repack that motherfucking file, and it will just not include those things I deleted. There you go. And when I load back into Bloodborne, it should be fixed. Now, while we're here, let's check that 9655, which is this upper portion of the mesh. Let's make sure that's also deleted. Now, here's the other thing I didn't know up until 2 nights ago, is this baked lighting file actually includes, you'll see it has 2401, which is Central Yarnum, but it actually has multiple meshes that could have the same name, and it will be 2400, which is Cathedral Ward, and then 2402 is Upper Cathedral Ward. So I had removed some, but not all, because I had not noticed that there was still some. So when I thought I deleted it, I had actually not. Check this out. 9655 is also not deleted. Oh, fantastic. You love to see it. You love to see it. So let's delete both of those. Boom. You'll notice I fixed the formatting. After you do the delete, it has an extra spot. So you just delete upward and then move the file thing back. How did I figure that out? Well, you can just look at the formatting for the other ones, but I wasn't sure if it was super important or not, but you do run into issues if you don't fix the formatting issues. Witchy will freak out, understandably. So now that... Did we save that? Yeah, I think we closed it, so we must have saved it. Okay. You'll notice I forget a lot of stuff because it's so muscle memory at this point. So we repacked it. But you'll notice that the baked lighting has gone down from 1 gigabyte to 700 megabytes. Ooh, message retracted. I wonder what that said. Let's boot up Bloodborne. Yeah, it's basically trial and error. It's like, it's something I've had to really stick with, because there's been a lot of times where I'll change 3 things at once, and then I'll go, oh, it did work, but now which one of it was it? I'm like, fuck. So you really have to hold yourself to changing one verifiable thing. Test it. It said fuck around and find out? Alright. I don't really know what that's related to, but cool. Yeah, I mean, I think FAFO has definitely, like, I hate that our government is now using that in the United States. I'm like, oh, okay, you've ruined it. Beat me to it. I was on a 30-second delay. Nice, got it. Yeah, I have it set on low latency for the stream, but yeah. Let's log in. Oh, referring to your trial and error. Oh, that's fair. That makes sense. Let's see. Well, it actually made it worse. Oh shit, it made it worse. That's interesting. Okay. Interesting. Huh. Let's... All right, that's interesting. Okay, so the other thing to look at is like, okay, is it using a different gparam config that would make it look different? No, they're both using 0, which is the default setting. Okay, so let's go back into that file, because now I'm like, okay. Now there is something weird that I actually don't really understand it yet. So they have texture files for all of the M24 maps, which is Cathedral Ward, Central Yarnum, and Upper Cathedral Ward. They are under M24. And this is how the standard setup works. Actually, even DS1 has the same setup, or DSR is in Dark Souls Remastered. So basically, you have your first TPF file, your second TPF file, your third, and your fourth. They named the first one as 0000, but you get the idea. Every map has 4. And interestingly, there is also these other folders that are 2401, which is Central Yarnum, but you already have all of those textures in the other folders. So I haven't figured that out, why they did that. Dark Souls 1 also has that with the Darkroot Garden. They have like duplicate textures, and I haven't figured that out. I downloaded your mod pack for DS2. The thing is, I have a massive input lag. Yeah, I mean, my mod definitely doesn't do anything around that. And yes, as I'll be honest, I have no idea how to say your name. Def not Jello, Def not J3 Lou, DEF not J3L. I'm clearly just fucking that up. I don't see whatever it's meant to actually say very well, but Jello. Okay, that makes sense. And that's such an easy name. Get the fuck out of here. Oh, Def Not Jello. Is it just Def Not Jello? I assume that's a reference to something. Okay, so yes, DS2. I wouldn't call it input lag. I mean, there is a lag to DS2, but I guess what I'm saying is, if you play the unmodded game, how does that feel? And if the sluggishness of standard DS2 feels good and normal, which to me it does, I've gotten used to it, then clearly something is happening in between that. I have heavy frame stuttering after playing for some time. Interesting, I haven't had that. Yeah, that would be my thing, is do the scientific method. Is try it unmodded. Do you have the input lag? I mean, I guess if you're complaining about it, understandably, then it must be a difference. I don't know. I would check your frames per second. I mean, you would probably know if it was just a low frame rate issue. Oh, that's why it's called Def Not. Oh, so your normal account is Jello. Got it, okay. I'm so lazy that I don't even have all, like, I'm just lazy. I just have the account. And I'm just like, that's it. That's who it is. I have other Gmail accounts or like Google accounts that I probably should just delete because I don't really use them. Anywho, let's open this witchy file again, because I'm thinking we didn't actually delete the baked lighting. Oh, so we know 4100's not in here. Okay. Well, that's good. Let's try 2900. Really? So we did delete the baked lighting. Huh. That's interesting. Okay. And then this is a weird secondary baked lighting file. And I don't understand it yet. Because it basically has like the same textures, as far as I can tell, from the other files. So I don't really know why we would be doubling it up. But this is an interesting case where I'm going to delete it in here too. And that would actually be really cool if that worked. It's just been this extra file that I've never fully understood why it exists, but it does apparently, so. We're about to fucking find out. Without any mods, it works fine. Oh. Yeah, that's weird. I don't know. I guess the other thing to test is only install... Well, basically, I would do a fresh install of Dark Souls 2, which I know is annoying. But I say it because I think a lot of people expect that uninstalling it on Steam counts as a clean install, when it actually doesn't. Because that does not include modded files. Steam will basically just uninstall the files that it knows of, but it doesn't know of every modded file. are extra things, right? Like lighting engine, obviously Steam has no fucking idea about that, so it doesn't delete that. So what I recommend doing is quite literally delete your entire Dark Souls 2 folder. This is what I do when you like run out of fucking options, is delete everything in it. And then go to Steam and say verify local files. It will then download the game fresh 100% as it is unmodded. And then you can add one thing at a time. So in this case, I guess it would be adding DS2 lighting engine. Download the most recent one. Also, question, where did you download your DS2 lighting engine version? Because I include in the description where to download it, but a lot of people have not. And maybe I need to bold it, understandably. Maybe it's just not. There's a lot of text in there, I get that. But where did you go to get your DS2 lighting engine? Because that solved most of the issues for people. Let's go back. So I'm going to delete this and see what happens. That's also what's fun about modding, is like none of this is written down anywhere. Like nobody, you know. Oh, I wonder if I didn't save the file. No, I did. I just pulled it back up and I saw that they weren't listed. So no, we're good. We're good. Jiggled the proverbial handle. It's very true. I extracted DS2 lighting into my DS2 folder. Oh no, I don't mean that. I mean, where did you go to download DS2 lighting engine? Did you follow that step that tells you where to go and download DS2 lighting engine, which is a very necessary step. My mod is only Discord. Okay, then we're good. Okay, fair. Interesting. Okay, so we got it from Discord. And then you copied over. Well, okay, so here's the other question. I've seen some people download multiple of my DS2 mods and then shove them together, when really the only DS2 mod that's current for me is my Second Sin mod. Like, if you just download my Second Sin mod, that covers everything. That has everything I've ever done in any other mod for DS2, really. That's interesting. I don't know. You might, I mean, I would recommend, I guess, joining the Discord and just kind of, you can go to the LE help channel and be like, hey, has anyone else had this lag? I'm on this version with Second Sin. But that's the real thing to test, is, but basically start over would be my recommendation, to start fresh. And then install DS2 lighting engine, but only install that. And then launch the game. Because then you're going to get the default like atmosphere presets and none of my mod. And then if it's still laggy there, we know it's lighting engine. And we know it's not my mod. Or, conversely, we know that it is my mod somehow. I don't know why. I haven't had that issue. I've actually had no one report that yet. So that is interesting. Which makes me think it's lighting engine. And perhaps a specific, like, computer configuration issue. I don't know, honestly. Windows is weird. It's also beta software, so like, you know, that's crazy. I don't know. Oh, okay. So here's our other. Hold on. Here's our other option. We have a backup option. I have quite a few tools in my bag. The proverbial bag, if you will. Okay. So if that method doesn't work, now we go to the slash and burn method. I don't know that we call it that, but let's go into our folder that stores all of these models, which you'll notice is in the map folder. The file or the folders that do not have all the extra numbers, like 01, 0000, the ones that are shortened like this, that's where the textures are. See, now I'm thinking that my chat could just randomly stop working at some point, because it did that before, where it just totally stopped working. So, like, I guess I'll refresh it at a certain point. Anyway, yeah, this is where the textures are stored, and then the models are in these folders. And they're obviously matched up with the number for the map. So M2402 matches M2402, and that's where your Upper Cathedral Ward models are. We are present. Okay, alright. We'll see if it ever just stops again. Anywho, let's go into 2401, which is Central Yarn. And let's manually open 2900. That's the file we need to fuck with. Oh, it looks like I fucked with it yesterday. Really? Huh. Or no, 2 days ago. So we're going to open it in Fiverr Editor, which is a delightful program, which was a successor to the original Fiverr Editor. Now you'll notice it's FLVER, which would be Fliver, or however you'd want to pronounce that, but I call it Fiverr because I think that just sounds better and I like saying it. So, dude, actually look how big 2900 actually is. Holy shit, I didn't even notice when we were looking at it. I think we were looking at this portion, when in reality it's actually huge. Holy fuck. Okay. Damn. Let's see if we can find that specific spot. It's going to be kind of hard because... oh, maybe it's this. Oh, did I just figure it out? Maybe. No, I thought I did for a second. So interestingly, I've already done the thing that I thought I was going to need to do, which is basically change these mesh indicator material settings basically, and change them to no longer have the L in their name, which stands for light map. Got a quick question. For your DSRR mod, everything else is good until the Grand Archives. Oh, god damn it. Well, which version do you have? Because I fixed that like 3 versions ago, and then it came back, and then I fixed it again in the last version. So I'm a little... yeah, that was my fault. It was that way for a while, but I fixed that in the last update. Or at least I like confirmed that I did, and then uploaded the whole thing, so... unless you already have the latest version, then I don't know what the fuck happened. What's up, Abraham Link? Changing L's for W's. I mean, that's, yeah. Yeah, sadly here didn't work on this file. Don't you worry, Sony might take down your Bloodborne videos. No. I mean, no. I mean, maybe they don't like me showing the inner workings of like how FromSoft games work, but realistically I don't think they give a shit. Like, yeah, I mean, like, none of what I'm showing on this stream is like interesting to 99.999% of the population. So I think Sony understands that, of like, and also this doesn't, like, people knowing any of this I don't think does anything to the game or anything, but you know. I recently learned of a mod that practically does what I'm doing except for Skyrim, or what I'm doing except for Skyrim instead of Dark Souls, called SMIM, Static Mesh Improvement Mod. That sounds familiar. Are they, so they're basically going through and just updating all the meshes and fixing like holes and shit? Dude, doing that for Skyrim has got to take like 18 years. Oh, I just finished the reinstall. Yeah, I would make sure just to reinstall DS2 Lighting Engine to start with, and then boot that up. And if that works fine, there must be something with my mod that might cause a particular issue. But I haven't seen that, and I haven't seen anyone else report it. But I also don't really check the reports, so that's me just admitting that I'm a shit ass modder in terms of that. I absolutely am. I just don't look at the issue reports because I mostly know what's wrong, and then I'll find what's wrong and I'll fix it. But I know that's not a good way of modding, but that's the only way that's manageable for me, really. The execs at Sony sitting down, we got to take this guy down. Yeah, I don't know that they know who I am, to be honest. Basically, my work is focused on that with no real changes to the game. I think that's amazing. That's awesome. And honestly, that's such a good... now, unfortunately, that, you know, isn't compatible with, like, my mod or anything, because I make a shit ton of changes. But I know you'll do the mesh edits way better than me. Your mod looks crazy. Don't speak like that. No, I mean, yeah, I guess I don't. Also, people have to understand. I come from the Midwest. We're self-deprecating. Like, not all of us, but a lot of us are self-deprecating. It's like the British. I don't know. I'm not the guy to, blow smoke up my own. I don't know. I don't like it. It's disgusting to me, and I don't think that it's wrong to do that. It's not, and I think you should, and I think that's healthy. But it's a Midwest thing. I don't know. It's I don't know. But what I mean is, I am not a good like manager of the mod, because basically when people download my mods, a lot of them have broken shit in them, right? Like, and I admit that they do, because they're in progress. I think a lot of mod developers are smarter than me, and they don't release their mod until it's like fully ready or working, right? I think that's like more common, that they have better quality control and they release less often. And I take the other option, which is, what if I release really often and there's just broken shit? And I don't know that that's better. I recall the Archthrone's lead mod mentioned on Lance's Discord that he has it on record that Bamco and FromSoft are very much aware of big mods and that people do that. Yeah, I would wonder from FromSoft's point of view. The only time I've ever seen them speak of a mod publicly was Seamless Co-op. That's the only one I've ever seen them actually like publicly on the record say something like, yeah, we saw that mod and that was cool. Like, that's all they said, but it was still kind of like, that's the first time they've ever, I think, mentioned a fucking mod. Like, that's cool, Their attitude is, we just don't care about it. Well, that's not accurate. I just don't think they care, not in a bad way. They go, do what you want, man. We don't care. We made the games. Like, that's great. You go do what you want. So they're just hands off. They don't care. But yeah, most companies avoid legal action against modders because, I think going against modders is just not. I don't think it's gonna come off good, because like, it's people that are passionate about your game. The only time you run into an issue is like if people were trying to post the actual like Bloodborne files, right? Like, and I mean like the actual files that would allow you to run the game. Like, if you were just uploading the package file, fuck no, you can't do that. So, okay, so for now I'm gonna drop that fucking room because I don't care enough. I'll figure that out later. And honestly, it's not even that big of a deal, honestly. Like, I need to remember that I don't need to obsess over everything. Because a lot of it doesn't matter, so. Did the lamplights also cast shadows? So, originally, I did have them cast shadows. The problem was, number one, performance on that is not great. Although, there's a way to get around that, where basically by default, actually, let me show you in DS Map Studio. I should always show stuff. So basically, when you select an object in DS Map Studio, you can see down here that it has point light shadow source, shadow destination is shadow only, draw by reflect cam, draw only by reflect cam. And basically what it means is the point light shadow source is if I wanted a nearby point light to cast a shadow, then it would include this object I just told to be a source that will then cast a shadow, right? And so you can control that by checkboxes. None of them have that on by default. And also none of them had the shadow source on by default, give or take, except for objects like barrels, right? But all the map pieces like these buildings did not have shadow source turned on. So that's how I did the dynamic shadow portion. Not that hard, right? Shadow destination means can another dynamic shadow hit that object and have that shadow be displayed on the object. So you also have control over that. And then you can also tell it, I actually don't want this object to be rendered at all. I just want the shadow to be rendered. I've only ever used that option one time, and that's because I was trying to fix a light leak, and I didn't want the object to show, but I wanted it to fix the problem, and it did. So there's that. Oh, also, I need to eat. I'm doing that thing where I don't eat and I don't drink water when I'm streaming, which is probably, it's just a stupid idea. You're dumb. That's because I like yapping about this shit. If you can't tell. And yes, I probably shouldn't talk when I'm eating, but like, who gives a shit? I don't care. I could just move away from the mic, but who cares? What am I eating? That's a good question. So, you might know of it. So on my walk with my mom, we went to Schnucks, which I don't know if you have one near you, but it's just a grocery store. It's like a chain in the Midwest. It's probably some other places too. Anyway, I bought a cookie there, which is Lenny and Larry's, the complete cookie. It's like gluten-free and shit, which I'm not like gluten-free. I don't need to be, but it happens to be. I don't know. And it's got like 16 grams of protein. It tastes pretty good. It's not as good as a real chocolate chip cookie, but it's pretty good. And it's got fiber in it. Like, it's pretty healthy and tastes good enough. Like, it's pretty great. It's really nice. It sticks with you, you know? Okay. Let me catch up. Oh, I was talking about the point light shadow sources. So here's the reason I ended up not doing it. Because basically, I could have it where only the player was casting a shadow from them. But the problem is they look like dog shit. They look like absolute dog shit. For whatever reason, the point light shadow sources and the spotlight shadow sources, or shadows, I mean, look like dog shit in Bloodborne. Like, they handle them terribly. The sun shadows, as it turns out, pretty good. Pretty good. We like those. And they're really stable after, well, I had to do a bunch of shadow config changes, but I got them to be very, because we have to remember, these dynamic shadows were not set up for the whole world by default. They were set up to only work on the player and, like, barrels. That's it. And enemies, but that's it. The world, no. And so by default, trust me, they don't work. They're very goofy, and they don't display in the distance that they need to. And so I had to painstakingly change that fucking shadow param XML file to dial in these settings where the shadows, because you'll notice they do fade at a distance, but it's pretty subtle. And it's actually, I'm pretty proud of it, I have to admit. Yeah, exactly. Like, there is a reason. It's a resolution of the shadow. The problem is, yeah, I don't have any control over the quality of the point light shadows. There's the shadow param, but that's, as far as I can tell, only managing like the sun shadows. And I've gotten those dialed in to my liking. Actually more stable than anything I've ever managed in DS1. Like, I'm so proud of these shadows, man. They're so stable. Like, you can twist the camera no matter the angle, and they're just there. They're just stable, but I've blurred them a little bit. I applied some of the filtering that Bloodborne allows, and I think they look really good. Now, are they accurate? Are they more blurry at the higher distance away from the source? No, but that's because I don't have PCSS shadows, and I don't have ray tracing. God, what the fuck was I talking about before this? Oh yeah, point light shadow sources look like shit. So you can see here, I made this spotlight shadow casting, which is a spotlight right over here. It doesn't make any sense why it's blue, but it's fine. Whatever. I made it shadow casting, but you can obviously tell it's not great. It's a pretty shitty looking shadow. Yeah, DS1 shadows, dude. Yeah, Okay, so here's the annoying thing. The annoying thing with DS1 is, for a while, my mod was powered. Well, not powered by, but it was working. It was using DSR Shader Overhaul, which was a modification of DS1 shaders because they accidentally left the debug shaders in there. Anyway, they were able to modify them, and we did have 4K shadow map size. But it was also causing a lot of other issues, so I had to undo it. So we did have higher res shadows for a while. Yeah, DS1 lighting engine, trust me. I've brought it up to the lighting engine guy, and I've said, look, I think it would be very popular, my guy. But he's got a lot on his plate right now, so I think eventually I don't see any situation where he wouldn't do that. Yeah, of course he would. Like, I mean, that's no guarantee, but like, fuck yeah. Like, I don't see any world where he doesn't do that eventually, because he's already looked at the shaders for DS1. He was like, oh yeah, he's like, I fucked around with those already. I just didn't do anything with them, but like, yeah, he already, I don't know. You know, don't take that as gospel. That maybe it never happens, but like, I personally think it would. He also talked about a Bloodborne lighting engine, just in passing. Does that mean it will happen? He'd have to learn Vulkan, you know. So that's a bit of a, you know. I also realize I haven't been playing the game at all, but also you guys are here for modding anyway. Also, check out this surface. This very specific surface right here is the only surface in the entire game that has this issue. My cat just got his claw stuck. Okay, I got his claw out. Yeah, this is the only surface that has this weird visual artifact, and I don't know. I don't know. I don't really get what's happening here. It's like some depth effect. I don't know. Missing tangents. Interesting. Okay. Because I'm like, it extends out here because it's like one shared mesh. Also, you'll notice there's a mesh hole right here. This is why my focus is on models, because my fibers would absolutely be compatible with something like that. Yeah, that's what's great. Yeah, exactly. I think that's a fantastic idea, is to have a mesh improvement mod that would just be an easy thing to slot in, and it would work with most mods. Only my, like, you know, super ridiculous, over-the-top, modify every file, stupid mod, those it doesn't work for, obviously. But, ooh, also, this is a little, ooh, actually, my global illumination shader there was bugging out a little bit. I'll turn that off. I actually forgot I had that on, to be honest, until that shimmering started happening, because it does a really good job of adding GI without, like, fucking up the whole scene, you know. The little black section there, what I think it is it might be the interior flap from an interior mesh that is set to a really dark G-param ID, and it's jutting out, and it's not matching the fog and the lighting setup of all the other meshes. But I've actually never looked at it. I've just seen it from afar, and I'm like, that seems fucked up. And then I just don't do anything about it. So I guess the streams are a good instance where I can go look at that. I have discovered which was the problem. The game ran like that because of native FSR. Oh. So an FPS thing. Yeah? I mean, yeah, the mod is pretty fucking heavy. I'll give you that. My mod is heavy as fuck. Yeah, I have to. Lately, I've had to run it at DLSS quality instead of DLAA, which I prefer to run at. But if I want to maintain 60, because I got a lot of shit going on in that mod. Could be a lore thing we can't grasp. I would love that. I would love that. Okay, so here we go. Oh, yeah. There is something going on here. What the fuck? What is this mesh? Oh, wait. Huh. Okay. Well, I'm gonna move this up. What is this mesh? Oh, it is for an interior. Oh, so it's as simple as that. It is that. I was correct, chat. I was correct. However, great job and thank you for this gorgeous mod. Thank you. I am actually really proud of the DS2 mod. Lighting engine is what allows it to look as good as it does, to be honest. Like, obviously, but I put a lot of work in that mod. And I do think it looks pretty awesome. I even catch myself kind of going, damn, all right, dog. That shit looks pretty rad. There's some areas I still got to clean up that I don't think look great. Yeah, the amygdala is T-posing. Yeah, that's how they show up in DS Map Studio. It's really cool. I love it. Yeah, so it turns out it was what I thought it was, which I was kind of hoping it wasn't, because that means I can't really fix it currently. I don't want to move the mesh. Really don't want to move the mesh. No, it's all connected. I think if I moved it, yeah. Ooh, that's tough. That's one of those where you go, you know what? That's on FromSoft. That's on FromSoft, and that's okay. So Fiverr edits are on the table, but well, okay. So actually, yeah, we should pull that up. Let's pull that up in Fiverr Editor, because if I get lucky and I can delete a certain portion that is not necessary, then you can fix it. But if it's part of a larger mesh portion, you're kind of fucked. Until I can edit stuff in Blender, I'm kind of just limited by what I can modify in Fiverr Editor. But it is nice that I have that ability. So 4923. Okay, so let's open that up. You can send me the Fiverr and I'll give it a try? Wait, edit it in Blender? Because you can load it in Blender currently with Blender Soulstruck, but you can't save it. Unless they've updated their Blender exporter, but like it just crashes the game, unfortunately. But yeah, there's only 3 mesh identifiers. So it's very easy to tell, can I delete the extra flap? Oh, I meant Blender. Unless you're able to, can you convert Fivers into FBX? Like, well, I know that there's the program that does do that, but as far as I know, that was for DS1 Fivers. Not anything related to Bloodborne. But I could be wrong. I certainly don't pretend to know everything. In fact, there's a lot that I don't know. Yeah, that's the problem. Is really here you're going to have a problem of basically you either delete this whole thing, you delete this whole thing, or you delete this whole thing. Which actually, I don't fully know what the fuck this little sandwich one is. Oh, so it's like supposed to block the light, I guess? Now, here's the other thing you'll notice. Ooh, does allow changing vertex positions. Oof, okay, I'll admit, haven't gotten into that. That's interesting. I guess, yeah, if you could just, like, move the individual ones just a little bit. If you can isolate the specific vertices on the flap. Damn, alright. I'll admit, I have not dove into that. Yeah. Oh, that's true. I guess with the right thing, you can delete vertices. Oh, well, that's true. I guess I never ended up doing that. Well, shit. Okay, that's... Ooh, the one thing is, it's going to be hard to... I need to know exactly which side I'm modifying, right? Let's actually fly it up in the air. Yoink. Okay, so we know it's this corner, right? We know it's that corner. So it's exactly this. Which, how visible is that indoors if I delete the vertices? That's where we get into a problem. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Let me just get up in there. Let me just. Yeah, it is covered by this block. Yeah, modders helping modders. Yeah, Abraham Link has great ideas. Great to bounce suggestions off of. And things that I didn't think of. I'll admit, I totally forgot you could select vertices in Fiverr Editor. I've gotten so tunnel visioned into what I do that I once Blender was an option for DS1, I just stopped looking at Fiverr Editor as like a modifiable thing, and I just looked away and went, yeah. Yes, it's totally playable on PC. Has been for quite a while, to be honest. Now that's not to say you won't run into an issue of like, will you get a crash? That's probably going to happen. Now, how often you crash completely depends if you have an Intel processor, an AMD processor, what specific one. Are you on this side of the Earth? Is the gravity that, like, it's a little touch and go. So, but yeah, I mean, people have played all the way through it, thankfully, for many, many, many months now, which is great. And yeah, it's interesting. This little flap here isn't noticeable at any distance down here, though. Since it's, well, actually, is this high enough? No, I think this flap wouldn't be noticeable. I'll start spamming. Spamming what? Blender is infinitely more convenient. Yes. Yeah, Blender was a game changer. I can't wait till Bloodborne models can be edited that way. I can't wait till, you know what? We gotta back up. I need to edit DS2 models like a motherfucker. There's so many models in DS2 that I need to edit. There are mesh holes, there's shit missing, there's so much. And there's also meshes that like only have an albedo on certain surfaces that I could fix in Blender, and like, oh, they're fighting over the top chatter crown. Oh, dude, I didn't even know that was like a thing. Okay. Was my fave PS4 title? Fuck yeah. Yeah, it is. Yeah, you're in luck. Of course, I can't really help with dumping your copy of Bloodborne and stuff like that, but there are tutorials on doing such. Oh, so I gotta turn off my AC. I'm cold as fuck right now. I'm kidding, by the way, no worries. Oh. You can battle it out, it's fine. Yeah, that's a good way to put it, is it's playable, but expect some goofiness. Like, and that's also because the emulator is, for reference, it's at version 0.11, and presumably that is out of 1.0, so that's the way you can look at, like, there's a lot of room left to go for PS4 emulation. Bloodborne was lucky in that it got sorted fairly quickly and in a playable state. Probably because it's the most iconic PS4 game. Well, not the most iconic, obviously. There's more iconic, but I think it's like the most. It's because it's locked on the PS4. That's the problem. It is because Sony is not doing anything that it is as important and. Well, that's not necessarily true. I do think it's an amazing game, and I personally think it's the best creation FromSoft has ever made. And I know that's a hot take. I think plenty of people would disagree and say Elden Ring, and that's fair. Just an opinion on that one. I personally think Bloodborne is the. I think it's just such an absolute like masterpiece, and I also think Elden Ring is too. Maybe it's that I just don't prefer the open world format. I love Elden Ring, and I've played a fuckload of it. But the open world thing, to me, just, I don't really need it, to be honest. So maybe that's probably where that comes into play. But even from like a craftsmanship standpoint, I think Elden Ring, because it's open world, I think you lose a bit of that. You lose a bit of the handcrafted nature. I mean, they're still crafting it, don't get me wrong. It's not that it's not handcrafted, but there's a lot of space in between stuff that didn't need to be. Oh, you didn't hear the hot take? The hot take was, I think Bloodborne is the greatest creation FromSoft has made thus far. Better than Elden Ring. For me, I have to put that out there. I'm not saying it as like everyone should believe this. I just think Bloodborne is their most creative, their most fucked up, their most like gorgeous fucking game. Like it's just so, and it's also a game that I enjoy from start to finish. Like with Bloodborne, I feel like it's a fairly consistent quality level of just, and some people would disagree and say that, oh, the only good bosses are in the DLC. I disagree. I actually think the average boss quality in Bloodborne's really good. I think the Witches of Hemwick, Rom, but all the other bosses I kind of think are cool. Oh, One Reborn, I have to admit I don't like. I don't really like One Reborn. I think that fight kind of sucks. I get that it's a Tower Knight callback, but I think it kind of sucks. I totally think, like, if anyone says Elden Ring's the best game ever made, I won't disagree with that. I'll be like, fuck yeah, I don't know. I'll say it's Bloodborne, but, you know, I think we have an abundance of riches, right? The fact that we can pick out two games from the same developer. And because Elden Ring is just an absolute insane spectacle. And it's awesome. And it's so expertly crafted. And the music's gorgeous. And the boss fights are awesome. And, like, I really think it is just that open world format. That's the thing that kind of keeps me from, because I don't really want to replay it. I have replayed it a lot, but like, it keeps me from replaying it because it is so long. It is so long. When I think of doing a new Elden Ring playthrough, I'm like, Jesus Christ. You mean I gotta go all the way through that? Like, a lot of it's fun, but a lot of it I've already experienced. And I've talked about this on stream before. From my perspective and my personal enjoyment, Elden Ring is so focused on the exploration that the problem with that is that once you've done it all, and to be fair, that takes hundreds and hundreds of hours, so I absolutely got my money's worth. Like, I absolutely did. And if you judge it purely based on that, amazing. And I would say it's amazing even in other circumstances. But the way I play the FromSoft games is I consistently just keep replaying them. I have found DS1, DS2, DS3, Demon's Souls, Bloodborne, Sekiro. I have found them to be infinitely replayable. Although DS3, I admit I don't like replaying as much as the others, but that's because I don't really like a lot of the areas, unfortunately. And it's not because, like, that's an interesting comparison, because you look at DS3 and you're like, oh, is it because it's dark and it's dour and it's lacking color and whatever? And it's like, no, not really. It's just the areas. I don't really like the enemy placement. I think the way they attack, the amount of times you roll, and it's just, you know, when I think of the areas in DS3, I just don't have a whole lot of them that I, like, am yearning to go back through, you know? Irithyll I really like, and I like Archdragon Peak, and not to get into a whole DS3 thing. I would agree, DS2 is the most replayable one for me. I don't think I'll ever tire of that. I just love being in that world. And I love all of the areas, which is crazy. Even the gutter and the Black Gulch and shit. Like, there's something about that game, man. That's why it's my favorite. And like, I know that's a hot take, but it's the one I just love, despite the issues I have with it. I just love that world, man. There's so much in it. DS2 is such a fucking massive game. It's crazy that it's the biggest in the trilogy. And DS3 is decently sized, but I think they scoped down a little bit. Yeah, High Wall of Lothric. I think that is actually the highest quality area for me up until Irithyll, probably? I don't know. Like, Undead Settlement, I kind of am just meh about. Barren Swamp, Cathedral of the Deep, I know some people really fuck with it. I just don't, you know? I don't like it. And I think my biggest problem with DS3, even versus Bloodborne, is Bloodborne, I feel like, had a really nice balance of you were not always having enemies trying to get inside your asshole. But I felt like in DS3, it was never not that. Like, they're just constantly screaming and yelling at me and trying to rip open my asshole and step in. And I'm just like, hey, look, y'all are beating that hammer to a fucking. You're just beating that dead horse. And like, I get it. But man, after a while, I'm like, that's fucking annoying. You know? Like, I think that's kind of where it comes from. Where Bloodborne, I think, just had a much more natural feel of where the enemies were, how they attacked you. You weren't constantly rolling. I mean, there was rolling, but a lot of it was dashing, and parrying was a key thing, and you could keep a good. I don't know, like the gameplay styles. And I found that DS1 and DS2 also have these kind of quiet moments where you're not always being raw dogged. Like, yes, in DS2 there's plenty of times you are being raw dogged, but like, I just feel like in DS3 they were like, what if we just kept the intensity up all of the time? And I'm like, I get that, but it's a lot, you know? It's a lot. So I think that's where I kind of come from on that. Anyway, I haven't been doing anything because I've been talking and I suck at multitasking. I'm sure everyone has realized that by this point. So we right click to select, right? That's crazy. So you actually like right click. Although it's picking the wrong ones. I don't know that. Oop, nope. Okay, that. Wait, which one did that grab? I'm trying to see like the blue thing that pops up. I'm like, is that the vertex? Like what? Oh, okay. I think we grabbed right here. Yeah, DS2 is or DS3 is just consistently so fucking loud. And Bloodborne, don't get me wrong, has a lot of that. Doing God's work, man. Thank you. Very nice. I'm hoping, I said this on Twitter, but I hope that God is going to drop a pallet of Baja Blast Zero in front of my house. I love the level design of DS3. It feels very well made in terms of navigation and shortcuts. Yeah, I mean, I think it was made in a very efficient manner. Where, yeah, I don't look at DS3's level design and say that's bad. No, I think it's totally good. It is vastly more linear. In the way that you have two paths that very quickly go down to one path, which is just not my preferred style. I do kind of prefer the DS2 approach of like, hey, you have 4 distinct ways you can go. Can someone describe what Baja Blast tastes like? That's a good question. Do you ever plan on collabing with other modders? Honestly, I've had offers, and there was a short period of time. Actually, let me at least pop back to the game so you guys can see the gorgeous game while I fucking yap. Let me turn off my AC for a second. What was I talking about? Yeah, I like that DS2 has like 4 distinct paths that you can go, and they don't really like force you down. I mean, I guess they had like those statues that you had to use the fragrant branch on in Scholar at least. Vanilla, you could kind of get yourself into trouble quicker. It looks pretty good, right? I know. I'm feeling pretty good about where Central Yarnum is right now. I think it's looking like you can see it's fading the dynamic shadows from here, but like I think they still look like a shadow, so like it's not amazing, but I'll actually show you. Yeah, let me get closer to that shadow. Oh, that's gonna kind of occlude it there. Okay, keep an eye on that shadow. That's under the fucking whatever you call this carriage. And by the time you've gotten to it, it's like normal form, but it's a very subtle. Uh, uh, I've said too many words today where I'm starting to not know the right word. Do you take breaks midstream? No, I mean the good thing is I don't stream very long. I tend to stream for like 2 to 3 hours, and then I just quit. Because I don't have the stamina that other people do. And I know a lot of people would say, oh, if you just stream for longer and more often, you'll get like better at it. And that's, that's true. But then again, I don't want to stream that long. So that's probably the most important thing. I don't know. It's a lot of talking. And I am introverted. I guess I could talk less, but that's my problem, is that when I am streaming, I'm like, if I don't talk, then it's weird too. So like, what the fuck? Oh, do you have a Discord server? Well, it's funny you mentioned that. So I made a Discord server last year at some point. And let me tell you, I flamed out hard. I don't know if that's the correct verbiage, but basically I had my own Discord server, and then I came to really not like it. Did you add chat rules? God fucking damn it. No, I didn't. I'm such a bad streamer. Okay, I promise after stream, it's in the YouTube studio settings. I'm on it. It might not happen. We'll see. Oh yeah, I made a Discord server. And I have to admit, I'm really uncomfortable with having a server that has my name on it. And I know that sounds stupid and weird. I don't like the idea of people being there in any way because of me. And I know that sounds crazy and antisocial. I have found over having this channel that I am just not a community builder. I'm just not. I fucking hate it. And so my YouTube channel, that's not even a community either. Is it safe to add this mod to my Bloodborne? It is, yes. Your save file is actually separate. Your save file is stored with Shad PS4, actually. So you're good to go. Yeah, I don't like people being there for me. That sounds bad. Let me rephrase that. When people are there for me emotionally, that's great. What I mean is, they are in a specific spot of the internet because my name is on it, or they want to talk to me, or they want to see what I'm doing, and I hate that. And I know that's weird. But I really dislike that. That feels weird to me. And maybe I should be like some cool person that's like, fuck yeah, people want to hang out with me and talk to me. But I hate it. I don't like it. I'm very uncomfortable with that. Because then it makes me feel like, and this is what happened for a long time, we're also now moving into the therapy part of the stream, in case you were wondering. I felt bad for not showing up. So it felt like something I had to check off, where I was like, I would come back after like 3 months of not posting in the Discord server, and they'd be like, oh, that's really cool, and hey, and I would apologize, and they'd all be like, oh, we don't really care about the apology, it's just nice to see you, or whatever. And I'm like, yeah. And it just felt like this thing that at the end of it, I just didn't want to do it, right? Yeah, so here's the problem, Def Not Jello. I really just don't have a community. Because it turns out I don't really want to, which is such a weird thing to say as a YouTuber. I mean, I consider myself a modder, and then YouTuber absolutely second or third or whatever. But I I don't like that. I I don't, and it goes back to my childhood, I suppose. So we really are on the therapy part of the stream. I I do not ever, under no circumstance, want to be the center of attention. I don't. I don't like it. I can't really explain why. I dislike it very much. So I think I've definitely settled on like, I'll just do work. I'll put videos out and I'll put mods out, and like talking to me on Twitter is actually the easiest way to talk to me, which sounds so stupid. But there's something about Twitter that works for me. And I guess you could say this applies to Blue Sky as well. I like the bite size nature of the communication on there. Because someone can post something, I can just reply to it and be like, that looks fucking awesome. And they go, hell yeah, thank you. And that's the whole interaction. And we've moved on. Like, I love that. It's its own contained thing. And it's so different when I get a DM from someone, because when I see that, I go, oh, okay, now I feel like I got to respond. That's a notification that's sitting there. If I don't respond to it, well, that's going to seem rude, right? Because like they reached out to me, they want to talk to me, they might have a question or help, and I hate it. And it's such a conflicting thing, because I do like talking to people and I learn stuff, but there's something about the expectation of my time that, no, Wolfie, you're fine. Don't feel bad about DMing. It's not about like the individual DMs. It's really not. It's that I currently have like 60, maybe 50 unread like Discord DMs. And some of them go back like months or last year. Because I just can't fathom continuing any conversations. Like, I don't know. It's keeping people at arm's length, which is not healthy. But I'm also like just listening to like what I like and don't like. I don't know. It is confusing. It's something that obviously I don't even fully understand. I don't I don't know. I don't like it. Stop stalking me. No, I don't know. Because I think some people might think that like, oh, maybe he wants to just be mysterious and like he comes out of his cave every once in a while to say something. But like, I'm actually pretty frequently on Twitter. So like, if people want to talk to me, if people want to see what I'm doing, it's on Twitter. Like, it just is. And I understand that Twitter fucking blows ass. And, you know, look, I agree. It's got a lot of shit ass people on it. It's got Nazis. I don't see that anymore, obviously, but like, I know they're there. And I'm not saying Twitter's like a good platform, but I have not been able to have the same experience on Blue Sky. Blue Sky, unfortunately, turned out for me to be incredibly boring. And I know that's going to be a hot take, and that is not going to sit well with everyone. But I find Blue Sky to be incredibly boring. I think it's probably because it's like groupthink. Twitter is more chaotic, but it is so incredibly more interesting. And there's bad that comes with that, no doubt. But Blue Sky, man, and look, I'm not. If there's people in the chat that are big BSers or Blue Skyers, you know, I don't think that's the official term. Because I still post on Blue Sky, but I don't post like everything. I post some things that I've already posted on Twitter, which I know is lazy, but like, I just don't have the mind for two whole platforms and being a separate identity on the other one. I don't know. Well, that looks weird. Yeah, that mesh is not looking correct in the shadow now that I notice it. Yeah, there's some dark portions of this mesh. Some of the baked lighting removals being weird. No, you know, Survivor, it's not that. It's not it's not really about the bigots and trolls in this situation, because my feed is not that. I don't follow people that talk like that. And then in my For You page, I've been pretty good about like, okay, fuck you, you're out, you're blocked, you're muted. Like, I've been pretty good with that. So my feed is mostly just game developers, modders, artists. I got some big titty ladies on there too. You know, gotta have that. And the discourse is just way more interesting on Twitter. Like, Blue Sky I've seen a lot of interactions on Blue Sky that are like, y'all are the biggest party poopers ever. Like, can we have some fucking fun? Like, straight up, can we have some fucking fun? Like, some of these people are like the moral police, just absolutely policing every single statement. I'm like, okay, all right, I'm out. I find myself to be pretty progressive, but like, god damn it. Can we chill? Can I just exist? God. And I know that might be a hot take too, but fucking hell. Some of it, I'm like, this is some wet blanket shit. I don't know if that saying actually has any relevance outside of where I live, but like, is Blue Sky Discord? No, Blue Sky is just Blue Sky. I don't know if you mean like, oh, is it like Discord? No, it's just like Twitter. It looks like Twitter, but it's unfortunately like very groupthinky. I tried, and man, that shit is just boring. I gotta, and look, maybe that's just my feed. Maybe I got unlucky, but I've been on there a while, and it's one of those things where just a lot of people are, it feels banal. Like, there's just no sauce to it. You know, there's just no sauce in there. There's nothing. It's just devoid of it. And that's not even Blue Sky's fault. I think it's just the people who moved over there. Wasn't ex-Twitter devs? I don't 100% know about that. I would assume some are ex-Twitter devs. But they, I love Blue Sky's mission. I love the people that work on Blue Sky. I think they have a wonderful CEO. I think their mission was great. I think everything they're doing is actually great, but I think it's the user base that, unfortunately, it attracted... God, these are really cancelable lines here. These are not going to go over well, but like, I think it brought the least fun people to it. At least from what I've seen. Like, there are fun, cool people on there. Don't get me wrong. There are plenty of fun, cool people on Blue Sky. It just seems like the overall I don't know. It's hard to... It's just a feeling when I'm on it and I'm seeing the posts. It's all just... I don't know. It feels like it's just people posting like, hey, I had some toast this morning. It was pretty great. Oh, here I am working on this. I don't know. It had no edge. There's no... I don't know. Like, Twitter has so many shit-ass things that I see. But it also has so many funny things that come along with that. Or so many creative, cool things that are being created or talked about. And I will say, you actually get, like, discourse. And I feel like on Blue Sky, you kind of do and you kind of don't. You get discourse, but like, there's very, very tightly controlled, like, I don't know, it feels almost antiseptic. Like, there's some, it's too clean, where it's like, can we just talk about big titty ladies for a second or something? Like, I don't know. I don't know. It just doesn't have, you know... Yeah, I don't know. I think some right-wing grifters are using this as a stupid-ass excuse, and also fuck them. I want to be clear about that. Fuck them. But there is a greater diversity of thought on Twitter. For better and for worse. Let me be clear. Also, let me be clear, that's an Obama line. Oh, God. How many light maps does Bloodborne use in such a scene? Yeah, so for each, like, model mesh map piece, like a building, they might have, like, 6 different individual textures, or light maps, and one of them is, like, yeah, GI, and then you have, some other things that are included in there, so, yeah, Stripping that out is dumb, of course, in terms of like they baked in a lot of really cool illumination and stuff, and I'm getting rid of that. So yeah, well, so for instance, this is probably not really an answer to your question at all, but in Central Yarnum, yeah, it does use a fuckload of light maps, but in Central Yarnum, because there's well, three real different variations, but technically four. It's a whole thing. They had to do separate bakes for the different versions, right? And so some of the areas have two versions, and then Central Yarnum's the only one that has like 3+. And so they had to do separate bakes for each one of those. And so if you add all of that up, it's in one file that's 1 gigabyte in size. So pretty chunky, you know. It's not like the most high res stuff. It's absolutely not. But there was a lot of it. So basically, I've kept the light maps for indoor locations because, well, they just look really shitty if I take that light map out, which for obvious reasons. But exterior, I'm able to at least, like if we go into, let's see, let's go into this. Let's go into our params. Those are the fun things. So let's go into 2401.000, which is the standard Central Yarn. So this is where everything is controlled, more or less. Not everything, but pretty damn close. So they have two main map-wide directional lights. Your directional light angle 0 is your sun or moon or whatever your standard source is, right? And then, and this is what I've been getting more into, and I have to because I stripped the hell out of baked lighting, they have their secondary world light. And if you modify the coordinates, which I've also never fully understood these coordinates, as I'm used to how Dark Souls 1 does it, and they don't just have two numbers, they have three. And so your X, Y, and Z. And here they're like, no, what if it was just 2? And it was in between, like, I think -5 and +5 or something like that. Or maybe it's 3 and +3, I don't know. Or 3 and -3, whatever. And you play around with these numbers, and that's how you can change the overall direction. And so the indirect lighting, you can angle this secondary directional light and then handle the actual like luminance of it down here where 0.1 and then 1. You can bring it up to 2. All of these numbers only really made sense in the context of Bloodborne itself. And now also these G params are essentially identical in Dark Souls 3. So that's a big part of it, is you're basically learning both. And these params were based on the Dark Souls 2 params, which were called filter params. But it was a very similar thing where they controlled it through text files, one singular text file. Where Dark Souls 1 and Demon Souls, they said, what if we have a shitload of separate param files? And we can reference those. And luckily, the modders were able to edit those through one program, which made it a non-issue, right? But as far as like directly editing those, or, well, not directly, we are editing those, but essentially it was probably complicated for FromSoft on their side. So now that it's in one giant file, it's all centralized. So I assume that was easier for them. They probably have really cool tools where they don't need to change the fucking values in the GParam, right? They have an actual program that probably can do all of this, right? We do it the backwards way, which is going in here and saying, oh, how much SSAO do I want on the standard 0 value, which handles the default GParam ID for all the meshes, right? So 1 is on, 0 is off, but you obviously can do 0.5, you can do 0.7. They commonly did like 0.7. And then you also have directional local lights. So you have local light 1 and local light 2. Now, why they called it local light 1 and local light 2 and not like they did for the main light, which is light angle 0. So they started with 0 and the second one is 1. So I don't know why they did that. Also, you'll find some spelling mistakes in here, but I'm assuming this is getting machine translated when you unpack it with Witchy B&D, because obviously it's a Japanese company. Not that none of them would know English, but like obviously you're not gonna make your entire game in English. That just doesn't make any sense. But and plenty of them, when you go into the other files, they do have plenty of Japanese all over it. So, but yeah, so you have your two local lights, and you might be wondering, well, what the fuck do you use the local lights for? Generally, those get used, at least from what FromSoft was using them for. They would use them for grass, because if you had the grass set to the same G param as the rest of the environment, it ended up being too dark, and because they're very specific with their makeup, it's a whole thing. All I know is, yeah, I've basically been not reverse engineering, but trying to understand what they were doing just by looking at these files and changing numbers. And of course, I have to say that a huge, massive, galactic help, and everything I've learned, well, most everything I've learned, but without her, I would have learned nothing. Or it would have taken so much longer. It's Trivia, who's usually in the streams, but I think lately she's been getting really healthy, and getting jacked. So that has taken precedent, which is absolutely a great choice. But yeah, so that's a slight look at the inner workings of shit in Bloodborne. It's crazy, and really fun to work on. Also, Miyazaki, I will never forgive you for raising the price on blood vials. Also, the removed baked lighting here does allow for a nice little shadow to be. You could see it in the Hunter's Dream by default a little bit, but it was just way less noticeable. So, certainly the benefit of dynamic lighting. But it has meant that I've had to go through and place a shit ton of point lights to do it all dynamically. But is it worth it? Is probably the larger question that I usually ask myself of like, should I make it dynamic lighting? I mean, ideally, I guess you would figure out how to bake new light maps for Bloodborne in a form that they would accept, and you would just bake in, like, RT features, you know, if you could render it in Blender and then bake that. But, and this is what I said in the beginning of the stream, this is what I'll say in every stream, the reason I went to dynamic lighting is because you can do this. Well, I also had to remove the player mask. But the fact that you can enter shadowed regions and exit them, and the light hits your character normally, and it can actually stop midway. It covers your character right in half. Whereas by default, it does not do that. It waits until you're in a shadowed region, and then there's an activation point in between the baked shadows where you'll do that, and then it'll say, your whole character's dark now. And honestly, that works great, because I don't think anyone really noticed. Like, no one said anything about that. But that's how they got around it, right? And I think that's a smart way to get around it. But I think the benefit of having your character blend into the environment totally is absolutely worth it. Like, just look at these shadows. Go over your character. It's such a small thing, but I honestly think it makes a difference. And maybe just to me, you know? Maybe it's just my thing, but I think it's worth that. Ooh, yeah, this area every once in a while gets a real where it's loading something. I'm going to parry these guys, and then I'm going to stop the stream. Because I'm tired and my throat hurts now because I'm stupid. Oh, you sure that's not a parry? I've been talking too much, and I haven't been drinking enough water, so. Which is only my... Oh! Double parry. Sadly, I cannot shove my fist into your stomach at the same time. Damn it. Too late on that one. Woo! See, I feel like the DS3 equivalent of this fight is where they're just jumping on me, trying to claw my fucking eyes out. They rip my asshole open, they're screaming, and I hate it. And then Bloodborne's, I don't know, there's I think it's my favorite combat system. And I know that is a hot take. By chance, the mod have SFX file? No, I mean, right now we can't really modify the Bloodborne SFX files, unfortunately. They're oddly in a format that does not match DS1 or DS2 or DS3. So it's a hodgepodge in between. But yeah, check out these coffins here. Notice that they very much are not reacting to the shadowing correctly. Not to mention, this map piece is incredibly too dark. And that is strange. Most map pieces have adapted to the dynamic lighting fine. But there are some like this that are just black, almost. And you're like, Also, you can tell there's actually a LOD change right here. So you can see it's a lower quality model here. Higher quality model loads in. Now that is fixable. What I could do is just grab the higher quality meshes and then give them the same draw group numbers, and then they will load in at the same time as the fake ones. And you could fix that. Of course, that will cost more performance, as obviously you're loading a better mesh. Now, they're still not like super geometric, so I don't think you're going to run into like a huge fucking issue, but it will be a issue. Also, if only I had the Demon Souls thing, I could get up here. Also, I think my chat stopped. Yeah, that's nice. Anyway, thank you for watching. I should be back on Wednesday in case, or unless I bitch out, you know. It just depends on how I'm feeling, though. But like, I'm definitely not one of those streamers. Oh my god, my chat just picked up. Oh my god. The last thing I saw was from Indra. It was stuck and it says, I feel the thing about Blue Sky has gathered a user base. Literally none of the other messages came in until now. Fucking hell. Is there an easy way to figure out what each light map controls? I've pulled them up, but honestly, I'm sure a more skilled light mapper would be able to look at the different ones and understand which one is for the GI, because yeah, ideally you would only want to remove like the sun shadow portion of it, but then keep all the indirect stuff. That's honestly a really interesting thought. I do need to look into that, because if I can keep the other ones, I'll just keep those. Yeah, I wish From Software had more behind the scenes, honestly. They just don't. I would love to know so much more about their process. Does keyboard and mouse work? Yes. Damn, you really took the graphics to the next level. I appreciate that. Yeah, there's plenty of things I gotta fix. There's a lot of like little things that maybe no one else notices, and it's just me. Is this a native PC port? No, it is emulation. How's performance now? Honestly, pretty good. I mean, you can get a really good 30 FPS experience. You can get a 60 FPS experience with my mod. On my rig, I don't get a steady 60. So I tend to just play at 30, because here's the thing: a lot of people don't notice is if you use the 60 FPS patch, you are actually getting an increase in input latency by default. And then it's lowering it because it's running at 60. But the way that it changed the actual frame capping method increases input latency. But overall, it comes back around because of the 60 FPS. So obviously, you do get a benefit from that. But when it does not hold 60, I assure you, and it's probably because I'm very sensitive to input latency, it dramatically raises. And you do not get the input latency. Like right now, you're seeing this at 30 FPS, but the input latency is fantastic. Like right now, this feels like the input latency is just perfect. And I know that's crazy because it's running at 30, but the input latency, the way that FromSoft does their input latency, it feels fantastic, but I'm very sensitive to the 60 FPS. Can I get an invite to the server? Or wait, what server? Because if it's my server, I don't talk in that server. I don't show up in my own server. So As dumb as that is, I don't show up there. Use streamer bot. Yeah, no, I agree with that. I probably need to get a different chat because popping out the YouTube chat, clearly YouTube just fucking stops at some point. Oh, I still didn't remember what that lady's name was. Fuck. I can't remember her name. I'll look it up after stream. That sucks. So did you do the Amelia windows? Oh, no, not yet. I was messing around with the Lawrence windows, and I figured out how to do it, so now I just have to go do that. You know what? I should do that today. I think I'll post some updates on Twitter. Because, yeah, I've been wanting to do that, to replace that lighting there. Now that I know which meshes to block out, because it seems like Lawrence is nearly identical. BBC Bloodborne computer, yeah. You know, it's weird. Around the town I live in, every once in a while, I'll see something spray painted on a, like, wall. Well, really, there's, like, the worst part of town, and it has spray paintings of BBC. And I'm like, do we need to... As far as I'm understanding, that's either the British Broadcasting Corporation or Big Black Cock. So, like, for me, I'm like, wait... And this is just me. I think too much about stuff. I see that and I go, what message are they trying to convey? That Big Black Cock is great? Like, I don't know that a spray painting is going to convey that. Because you're just saying the acronym. Is it raising awareness for Big Black Cock? Like, I don't know. It's always confounded me because I'm just like, but then again, I would actually say the same for a lot of spray paint and a lot of like bumper stickers on cars. Like, what's the thought process? Yeah, I guess I wouldn't understand society because I'm just like, what message are you trying to tell people, right? I don't know. I don't know what the intended goal is. But I will say, you know, the other thing that doesn't make sense to me, bumper stickers. So, let me get this straight, because I've never put a bumper sticker on my fucking car. You are putting something about your life or that you like on the back of your car to show other people that are behind you. And, like, okay, if that's the case, I still don't fully understand why. Do you think that if you have a Bernie sticker, like I've seen Bernie, like Bernie's great, I love Bernie. But if you put his sticker on the back of your car, is it your goal to raise awareness that there is a guy named Bernie? Or do you think they'll see the sticker and go, wonder who that Bernie guy is? I guess I'll look him up. Or do they already know who Bernie is? And this is saying, haha, feel the burn, I don't know. And then some people will say, oh no, it's just because I like it. But I'm like, yeah, but you can't see it, ever. Ever. Until you get out of your car and walk around and look at it. So why would you put something on your car that you can't see when you're driving the very thing? Like, I don't know. I guess maybe I'm just really autistic. But like, to me, I'm just like, I don't get that. And then the people that put like the number of kids they have and like the parents, and they'll put like the little stick figures. And I'm kind of like, well, what are you communicating with that? So you're telling the people that are behind you, here are the number of kids that I have. And I guess as the driver, I don't really know what to think about that. Like, should I honk and congratulate you that you have 3 kids? Is it an achievement thing? But it's not for you because you can't see it, right? I don't know. Like, I think when you really dive into that, I go, I don't know that makes any sense. Are we just doing it because it has been done before? But like, has anyone stopped to think about the actual like mechanic of it, right? Like, I don't know. It's just one of those things where I'm like, because when I ask somebody about it, they seem so surprised. Well, no one's ever asked me about why I put bumper stickers on my car. Did you make the sky brighter? I think I did something. I can't really remember. I'm sure there was a small fog change or something. Yeah, maybe. There was something I did with like fog blending where I wanted it to like blend a little bit better because there were cases where the sky would like massively uh, be different than the buildings. So the fog on the buildings just looked kind of garish. Oh, post Gascoigne is pretty bright. Oh, okay. I'll look at that. I'll look at that. I may have fucked that up. I know you're looking into issues with the mods and thought the textures were the problem at one point. Did you ever find the source of the problem? Issues with the mods. Oh, do you mean like how it would stop rendering certain things? Yeah, I never fully figured that out, but I'm like 90% sure it's because I was using upscaled textures at some point. And the memory was very clearly like the game said, you no longer have memory, and therefore, why don't you write the changes you're making if you always forget the changes you make? That's a great question. I'm lazy. I wish I had a better answer. Um, I'm just lazy. If I can be so for real with you right now, I'm fucking lazy, man. I don't want to write things down. I don't like it. That's an extra step. And the amount of steps that I have, and the amount of iteration that I have, and the amount of minute microscopic changes I make, I would blow my brains out. But like, it's totally a good idea. Now, of course, better idea is like a sort of version control, which technically I have on a really stupid scale, which is basically I just have older versions of my mods. So if I ever fuck something up, I just go look at the old ones and go, huh, okay, what changed? All right. And I have those files. So like, it's not perfect, and I'm surprised I've gotten to where I'm at without any sort of like documenting stuff. But yeah, it feels like you're working on something and you gotta pause. Let me write this down. Let me write this down. Because then the other problem is I don't want to write down changes that don't end up working. So like I first have to test it and go, okay, did I add that? Did that work? Is that good? Okay, all right, let me write that down. And then I'll forget to erase something that I wrote down prior. It gets into more stuff where my brain just goes, and a smarter person would write stuff down, but I'm dumb. When will this game be close to 100% emulation? I mean, it's already playable 100%, so you'll just have maybe the occasional crash. Depends. It's hard to say. You'll have some performance issues occasionally. It'll chug a little bit, but then it catches right back up. So it's not perfect, but technical debt. Yeah. Yeah, that's yeah. I'm just lazy. Also, my method's pretty shitty, but I admittedly think I've done quite a lot with that, and I don't know. It might be just the method to my madness, but not recommendable to anybody else. Have you made changes to the Forbidden Woods? Oh, have I ever? I've actually made changes to every map at this point, and atmosphere configs, dynamic shadows for everything already, parallax occlusion mapping to most maps. I still have more surfaces to add it to or enable it. Yeah, like the whole game, the whole mod, or the mod covers the entire game at this point, which is nice. But I am re-going through and stripping out some extra baked lighting I missed, and then enabling shadow casting on things that I missed. Like, for instance, this little hat here, I didn't have that set to shadow cast. And there's a ton of these hats in Central Yarnum, but it was just one of the objects that I had just missed. I didn't select it. But yeah, so you can, and then I made a big update to Forbidden Woods like 2 versions ago where I added dynamic shadows for all of that. No, it's confusing. So I had already enabled dynamic shadows, but almost none of them were visible in Forbidden Woods because of the baked lighting. The baked lighting just completely had supremacy and covered most of it. And you just would never notice that there were dynamic shadows. So once I stripped out the baked lighting, it was awesome. fucking awesome. That has the most density of shadows because there's so many leaves and so many trees, and there's so much light that's coming. Well, not a ton of light, but like you can see a shitload of shadowed stuff. So it's pretty cool. But yeah, I got to look into some of these buildings. They like this building here. I've never gotten this building to look correctly. It's odd. It's like artificially dark, but it's not using a light map. But because I stripped out the light map, now it doesn't look like it should, even though almost all of the other map pieces didn't have this problem. So I'm running into weird things like that, you know? Which version of Shad do you use? I use the BB Fork build, but also you could use the main build. It actually works great. Oh, did 0.11 have lower performance? See, my problem is I run at 30 FPS, and I just don't notice the performance difference between builds. I occasionally switch over to 60, and then I find that I don't like that you have to fix how the grass moves too quickly and the cloth physics move, and you have to like apply a patch for that, and then I'm like, fuck that. And then it's also very like unstable 60 on my rig, and I have a 5700X with a 4060 Ti, 16 gigabytes, so like not a weak rig, but also not the most powerful. Make it look more similar to Alpha Bloodborne. Yeah, the Trivia's been messing around with that. I think she basically already replicated it. I need to like nudge her and be like, hey, you should release a mod. People would really like to use it. I know you use the Immerse shaders. Have you looked into the Zintian shaders? Yes, Turbo GI is great. I love Turbo GI. Also, I would say Turbo GI is not... I mean... Yeah, I guess Turbo GI, it's... Because I followed Zintian for quite a while, and I've actually subbed to his Patreon. I don't know if that's still active. Because he had a lot of like actual like full-on ray tracing shaders that were way heavier, right? But Turbo GI is like that super lightweight shader, and it's global illumination, but I don't really consider it ray tracing. It's a little, but then again, we get into a conversation of screen space ray tracing, and anyway, Turbo GI has been my favorite. It's my favorite GI solution that works well enough and is very, very performant. So yeah, shout out to Zintian with Turbo GI, and then all the other things that Zintian's doing. It's actually really cool. I was testing out his anti-temporal aliasing, which is an interesting inversion and like a different way of doing it. Plus, I have the Zintian stuff down here of like local contrast, sharpen. I don't really use those. Now there is a really interesting shader that I've been. It's made by someone completely different. But let me actually disable these for a second. Well, I'll keep the AA on. That's fine. So there's this really cool one called ZGTAO. And this is like really, really fucking accurate AO. Like, this AO is amazing. It's a little too strong, but you can kind of start messing around with that. But it is like god tier AO. But it's very early in development, and it has a lot of issues. But it is incredibly... yeah, I find it better than Immerse MXAO in terms of how... It's hard to describe. Immerse MXAO, I think, is the best stable one overall. This one, I find, has really contrast-y results, and it just... I don't know, it like super... And there's a reason for it. I know GTAO is... also the form of AO that Lighting Engine uses. But they're not doing it through like Reshade or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. There's something about this one. I have to go look into her explanation of like what she was doing with it. But it's apparently a form of GTAO that's very interesting. And you can notice that like how effective it is at just picking up on every crevice. There's a way it scans the scene that's incredibly I don't know. It's very like if you look at the raw AO, like this is the raw AO, so it's not like denoised. And then you denoise it, and then you upscale it. So you have different variants you can look at. But the coverage of AO is superb. Um, yeah, I don't know. I'm keeping an eye on that one because I don't know. There's a lot of issues with it. But yeah, for now, I think Immerse MXAO is fantastic. Now, technically, you get AO with Turbo GI as well. Yes, the Launchpad is performance heavy. I agree with that. It is much heavier than the other motion vectors that I've seen. Like Vort Motion, I really like. I think that's a great one. Zentian has its own Zentian Motion. Bloodborne with modern lighting looks amazing. Keep up the great work. Thank you. I'm just kind of goofing around, and I think I've had some good results thus far. There's a lot of things left I gotta fix that don't look right. And I know a lot of it is maybe just what I would notice, but like this building here just looks absolutely hideous right now to me. It's not blending in with the scene at all. And that's because I stripped out baked lighting, but it's not responding correctly to that. It's actually somehow responding to the sun shadows like 10 times more than it should. It's very odd. I don't yet know why that is. I've been messing around with modifying the model itself, and this has been happening on certain meshes. Yes, that's true. GTA 4 is rough with aliasing. Yeah, and Bloodborne's was bad, but yeah, here that's actually probably the nicest part of my mod is the fact that it disables the in-game AA, which you can now do very easily through the patch menu of Shad PS4. I did it through the G params because at that point that was the only way to do it. But yeah, disabling that is huge because that FXAA is dog shit. And I mean, I don't say that lightly. Fucking dog shit. Like, it is one of the worst implementations of FXAA I have ever seen. And I know that's rude from Soft, but god damn it, that stuff sucks. I don't know what you guys were doing with this in DS3. Because I mean, it wasn't even anti-aliasing at this point. I think it caused more issues than it fixed. Like it's hideous. And then I even found that they had a secondary like backup. They had two other forms of AA, and I found one that was actually better. It blurred the image more, but like that's what anti-aliasing is. Now, FromSoft now is doing TAA, and it's an okay TAA. Oh yeah, FXAA is well. See, now I'm not insulting FXAA as in general, because there can be decent forms of FXAA. Now, of course, FXAA is an older form of anti-aliasing, and it has been 100% usurped by TAA and SMA for that matter. SMAA is also just better. You can do a combo of SMAA plus FXAA to like really do a coverage, but FXAA is definitely more blur heavy. What's the best version of AA? Well, I mean, if you really wanted to pick the ultimate prime AA, it would be NVIDIA's DLAA. Nothing beats that currently. I would say SMA is best, really. I think SMAA has a sharper image, but it actually doesn't anti-alias the edges nearly as well as a properly optimized TAA. Because obviously TAA has information from prior frames, and that is what helps it. And SMAA is... It just doesn't have all that information. But yeah, DLAA absolutely demolishes all other form of AA. Because it is quite literally DLSS, but it is only focused on anti-aliasing. Well, yes, MSAA, has its limitations for being used with certain things, but yes, it is a fantastic form of it. It's a little heavy, but it doesn't work with a lot of the like deferred renderers. Will it ever be implemented into Bloodborne? Honestly, that would require a lot, and because it's being emulated, we'd have to have a native Bloodborne port, frankly. Like, I don't know that you can ever do it through emulation. Yeah, exactly. So it is bound to forward, but like that happened with DS2 Lighting Engine, where he actually switched it back over to forward rendering, or he originally had it deferred, then switched to forward. Now he's back to deferred for most of it. But the forward rendering part, he was testing out actually allowing MSAA with DLAA at the same time, which was pretty cool. No, DLAA is doing no downscaling or upscaling. That's the brilliance of DLAA, is it is just using, well, as far as I know, it's not doing any form of down, it's not down sampling, right? It's basically not, I mean, it's basically the same thing as DLSS in the form of the modifier for the original like resolution of the internal image is just at 100%. So you got anti-aliasing with DLSS as, the performance, balance, all of that handled anti-aliasing as well. But DLAA is like, well, what would happen if you had a 100% res scale? And it turns out it's fucking awesome. Yeah, it's just native res. And it's fucking awesome. Nothing has come close to that. Native FSR is obviously vastly better than non-native FSR, like any of the other like quality modes. But no, DLAA has absolutely, I've never seen anything even close to it. It is the pinnacle currently of like anti-aliasing. And maybe something else will come out that, but a properly done TAA I think is still quite good. I know some people disagree. New coming into town called Forward Plus. Yeah, okay. Where you do like it's a hybrid kind of system. Interesting. I could believe that. I mean, frankly, the lighting engine guy, he's had portions that are forward, portions that are deferred. Yeah, DLAA and lighting engine, holy shit. Yeah, DLAA is great. I have a great experience with quality mode, balance mode. Now that we're using the transformer model, that does an amazing job, even in performance mode, which is 50% of native res. And I think it honestly looks fucking awesome. But DLAA, there's a clarity to DLAA that you just, once you experience it, you're like, oh fuck, that's what it's supposed to look like. That's what we've been chasing for years, decades. We've been waiting for something that could properly handle the edges of meshes, and they're getting more complicated, right? And grass and all this shit. And DLAA is the only one I've found that really can handle that shit, Yeah. Now, of course, it depends on like what resolution you're playing at. I think your advantage to DLAA and like seeing the difference would probably be more noticeable at 1440p, but not also, because I guess higher resolutions have less aliasing by default because it's more resolution. But anyway. So Michael Garcia, I technically don't agree with that, but it depends on everyone's eyes. I think a properly done TAA is quite good, because actually what I'm using for my mod is TAA, and it is using motion vectors, because those motion vectors are actually generated. You can obviously have multiple different versions, but I have Vort Motion. You have the Immerse Launchpad. Now, is it as good as a native TAA implementation? No. But well, exactly. I would actually agree with Max here in the case that AA is functionally a balance, right? Because you're trying to balance between detail and blurring. And how do you properly only blur exactly the things that you want to blur, but not blur everything else? Like that's the whole ball game, right? And I think people have to understand it's such a, I don't know, like you get pros, but you get cons with almost every solution. So obviously DLAA, the con is, well, it's less performant than if you were to use DLSS quality or yeah, I haven't used a CRT television in a long time. Well, I guess that's actually like saying it double, because it's cathode ray. Well, no, that's cathode ray tube. So no, that still fits. I'm not saying television twice. Yes, DS3 lighting engine. Now, I will say you can currently go to the Ko-Fi, or Coffee, or whatever the fuck they call it, or Patreon for the lighting engine, and you can get access to one called DS3 Lighting Engine Lite, which is a stripped-down version, and it doesn't replace the textures or even have the ability for that. It doesn't override the shadows. It doesn't do a lot of that. But it does have the DLSS, thus DLAA, FSR. You can turn that on, and it obviously updates the shading, and it has most of lighting engine, but it's missing certain components. So he's kind of using that to test stuff, and then the full version will be released for free on Nexus at some point later this year, or maybe next year. We'll see. Yes, I agree with the full release thing. Yeah. I've also been waiting for the full release because I can't actually work on the mod with the light version. It's not meant for that. And the full version currently has not been updated in a while, which is understandable. And so, yeah, I'm waiting for that to get a little bit better. But anyway, thank you for hanging out with me. I ended up talking for an extra 30 goddamn minutes because I like talking about all this nerd shit. And the therapy session was nice. But isn't this nice that it's a Bloodborne stream and I didn't crash out and I didn't insult anyone? I mean, not that I insult people a lot, but sometimes I can be an asshole. But I think it went pretty well, you know? Yeah, not yet. That's true. Fuck you. Well, no, sorry. Character creation don't work in the current version of D. Yeah, that's true, actually. Yes, that is very true, Survivor. You're awesome. Thank you. Well, I think you're awesome too. Anyway, I have to pee. I need to drink water. It's like The Sims when all of your bars are red. Because I'm just bad at multitasking. So maybe that's an issue for another day. So thank you for tuning in. The VOD will be just up on YouTube if you missed any part of it. I don't think you missed like a ton, but if you just want more fucking nerd shit about Bloodborne, well, that's what this is about. So, but thank you for watching, and I'll see you. I'll probably release another video in between today and Wednesday. Probably another Bloodborne video. But yeah, thank you for hopping in chat, guys. I really do appreciate it. Can't wait to see what you'll do in the future. Yeah, I'm enjoying working on it. I really am, and I probably should work on it before Sony swoops in and goes, fuck this. So as much the mod that gets out there before they ever swoop in, which I don't think they will, to be honest. But I do think it's good to have as much of it out there because then it never truly can get taken down. And if you are hearing this, Sony, I said what I said. I said what I said. Fuck you, Jim Ryan. You don't work there anymore, but fuck you. Fuck you for closing Japan Studio. That shit was not cool, and I'm glad you're retired. Suck on that. Anyway, I love you guys. Thank you, and I'll see you probably Wednesday. I'm feeling good about that.